What's up, everybody? It's J and J with Justin and Jordan. Yeah. So today, I'm joined by two very special guests. Got my god brother Victor. He's been here before, but now got his brother Anthony here. Shout out to these guys for pulling up. If you guys want to tell them about yourselves, introduce yourselves real quick.
Go ahead, Vic.
Knicks fan over here. Also a Seton Hall student, so go Pirates.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll keep it a buck with y'all. I'm actually a Bulls fan, but Lillard has been my favorite player since he came into the league, so I had to pull up with the jersey.
Yeah. And I feel like this episode gonna be fucking jam packed with a lot of shit. But sure. Today is offseason's kind of like been up and down. But today we got grades for off-season teams. Well, playoff teams, because we don't really care about the bad teams right now. But first of all, shout out to Colombia. Shout out to Argentina. Yeah. Copa America final, Sunday night. I don't watch it, but I think I'm going to be tuned in. Shout out James. That's all I see, because my boy sure. Dave be posting that all the time. But I have no horse in that race, but I'll be tuned in. And shout out Jalen Brunson. We just got a report now that he took a pay cut. He left $113 million on the table to give the Knicks cap room, and he'll be getting extended 4 years, 156. Yeah, if we win, give that man a statue, man. He should be getting free food in New York for forever. That's what winners do. That man's a winner. You don't see that shit all the time. So I want to give a shout out to him. We could dive into the DeMar DeRozan trade first real quick before we get into the grades. And we could talk about that real quick.
Yeah, that was on Saturday, right? Because that was my birthday, I remember.
Yeah, reports came out.
That happened.
Yeah, he was meeting with them Friday, and then they pulled the trigger.
He flew there, I think, Saturday morning. Yeah. And then he signed with them like Saturday night.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that because I'm pretty sure he still lives like in that LA area. Yeah. So I didn't know if they came to him. Kind of like with Paul George. Like Paul George was in LA and Philly just came to Paul George too. So, yeah. But I think he went to Sacramento, and then that's why, like, right after he got signed, you just saw him pull up to the Summer League game right after he got traded.
It's over when the player's going over there. Yeah. Because I know Presley, he went to Hartenstein.
Yeah.
And
he did.
Oregon.
Philly, in Oregon.
Yeah, like, that's how you know they're serious about it.
Yeah. But, like, when DeMar's going to Sacramento, it's like, it's over. But for the Kings, I like this move. Just off the fact that, like, you're adding on to the offense, putting more faith in Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, who I think they both had a tremendous year this year. It's just they didn't really make that much moves last year, so this was like the second year of having that big surprise year that they had in 2023, and a lot of teams took notice of that. So they had a big target on their backs this year. You add in a guy like DeMar DeRozan, who's replacing Harrison Barnes. You're adding more offense to a team that's already electric offensively. And another guy who could probably close for you at the end of games. Because Harrison Barnes I know they was ready to get his ass out of there. But the one question for me is the spacing with them.
Yes.
Because he's not a three-point shooter. He's a mid-range shooter. Doesn't really space the floor like that. And the questions with him and Sabonis, that's gonna be tough. But I like it. But this move for them it moves them up a little bit, but not tremendously. And with how the West is and how much better everyone's gotten, I feel like they've gotten better, but not like way too much better. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. You actually took the words out of my notes. I wrote fit issues, MIDI with Sabonis and Fox. Yeah, I think. That's my only concern. I was actually a big fan. I'm a Bulls fan. I do watch some games, even though they're disgusting to watch. But, he's one of the most clutch players in the league. I think he came in second place for clutch player of the year a couple years ago. They have another closer. The person he actually lost that to was I think, De'Aaron Fox. So now you have two guys that can close a game. Fox is entering his prime. Sabonis is entering his prime. You have a veteran in DeRozan that can guide him in the right way. It's just like that mid game that, they're gonna have to find like some sort of spacing between those three players to work with.
Yeah, honestly, I really like the move. Probably, I would say like the last 2 years, they might be like my favorite league pass team to watch. They're definitely up there, along with like Minnesota and a few other teams, OKC too. But I think the thing with the, obviously the spacing, that's like the second DeMar DeRozan got traded, that's what people started saying. But, I think this day and age in the NBA, it's kind of like the Phoenix Suns against the Denver Nuggets. Like, they were thriving in the mid-range. And I think with De'Aaron Fox, with Domantas Sabonis, you could have a team that does that. But, like, what? I think Keegan Murray, I know he shot 35% this year. De'Aaron Fox was 36%. And I just checked Domantas Sabonis. Surprisingly, was actually 37% this year. So, like they're not terrible with the shooting. So I'm not too concerned about the spacing. The thing that concerns me the most, to be honest, is actually the defense. I feel like
so they signed up
there's a lot of defensive inconsistency there. I feel like Kevin Huerter might find a lot of games where he's on the bench, might average like 25 minutes a game because they might need Devin Carter, who kind of, I don't want to say they have the same play style, but somewhat similar to Chris Dunn, like point guard out of Providence, great defensive player.
He's actually out for 6 months.
Who, Devin Carter?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that.
Yeah. I think it came out yesterday. Yeah.
Is it 6 months official?
Yeah, 6 months.
Damn, man. That's
that's
tough. I'm sure they weren't planning for that. I put you like
Christmas. It's like a couple months.
Yeah, I'm sure they weren't planning for that because I know they traded Davion Mitchell to Toronto.
Yeah.
So, they're going to have to find somebody else. Because me personally, I was having a few debates with people. I think, like other teams in the West, they have a large range of outcomes. I think they have what it takes to get to the conference finals, possibly even finals. But I could also see them being, 7th seed in the play-in, trying to fight their way in. But especially if they have injuries, I feel like the latter is a lot more, possible than, the... Like, I don't see them if they get a major injury. I just don't see them going that far because the West in general is just so stacked.
Yeah.
But I definitely think they got a lot better than what people think. Because everybody wants to say, oh, DeMar DeRozan. I guess, I don't know. We'll see.
He's clutch.
Yeah. He's had a lot of moments where, I mean, you're a Bulls fan. Against the Bucks, I remember he scored 40 points. And then the next game, he was like a no-show, like 25-30%. But
that's the experience.
Yeah.
Yo, I remember a lot of those Raptors games, bro.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of those Raptors games.
Yeah.
It was in the playoffs. It got ugly sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's a lot different now because you got De'Aaron Fox. I trust him in the playoffs. He's improved so much every year. Jordan tells me, he reminds me every episode that we talk about him. He's improved every single season, and his mid range is deadly as hell too. And you have Sabonis, who was fucking on fire last year. Arguably their best player at times last year.
Yeah, he's still starting his prime. No, he's in his prime right now. 19 and 13.
Adding DeRozan to that, I like it because they know what they are. They know that they're not gonna play defense. They know that we just want to go put points up, and I like the move for them. Hopefully, if Keegan Murray takes another step and improves even more next year, this could be a lot scarier too. The Devin Carter news sucks, but I wish he was playing because when he comes back, it's gonna be lit. But I like this move for the Kings. It doesn't put them like over the top, like in the mix with the contenders. I think they just don't want to be in the plan. I think that's their thing. I think they know they're not gonna play defense. We're not gonna be one of these top teams. But if we could avoid the plan, I think that's kind of where they're trying to be at, because they were in the play-in and they lost ASAP. Yeah.
And we saw their potential against the Warriors. Like it took a Herculean performance by Stephen Curry in a Game 7 in Golden State to beat that team.
No, it was in Sacramento.
Oh yeah, it was in Sacramento. That's right.
They had 13.
Yeah, oh my God, and Draymond had to stomp on Domantas Sabonis and everything in that series. I just I think the Kings, like a lot of teams, it's kind of like the Grizzlies, like we saw soon as Ja got hurt, soon as all their bigs got hurt, like, of course they're not going to be a good team, but whenever they were playing, like, just a grit and grind team. I know I was watching that episode with Jordan. I know he's not too high on the Grizzlies, but I don't know. I feel like that's another team where, we'll talk about, Brandon Ingram and all of that stuff, but that's a team, man. Like, I feel like that's one position that's missing for them. They get, a do-it-all type of player, and they're easily there too, just like with the Kings in the mix. To me, the teams in the West, it's very hard to judge because, especially this day and age with social media, like, to me, I feel like there's a good 4 or 5 teams that can all possibly make the conference finals, but can easily get out in the first round. It all depends on who they match up against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now with that, we can move on to grading the offseason. Well, grading the offseason moves for the playoff teams so far. And we're just we could start with the Western Conference since we were just talking about the Kings. I wanted to start with them because that move went down literally after the podcast last week. So I just wanted to make note of that and give them their shine because they did not make the playoffs last year. So that was going to get lost in conversation. But I guess we would have to include... Do we even include the play-in teams, or should we include 1 through 8?
I ended up doing the play-in team just because...
so they would have got talked about anyway. Then.
Yeah. I think the West, especially, the play-in teams are a little bit more respectable.
That's true. Should we start... We should start from the bottom to the top.
Guess.
So the Golden State Warriors, notable losses, Klay Thompson. But the key additions were DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody. Is that it? Or
no? Yeah,
that's it, right?
That's 3 major role players.
Yeah, those were 3 great role players that they picked up. I like the move for them because now you're getting Buddy Hield, who does what Klay Thompson does at this stage of Klay Thompson's career.
Yeah.
I'm emphasizing. Don't come at me in the comments saying, he can't do what he does, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But you're getting what Klay Thompson could do at a Buddy Hield at this point in Klay Thompson's career for a cheaper price, a team-friendlier price. You get Kyle Anderson, he's always been able to find a job.
Slow-mo.
Yeah, slow-mo. Yeah. He's a good connective piece. He's going to fit with this team. He's a smart basketball player. And DeAnthony Melton, he's
a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. He gets buckets off the bench. They're gonna need everything they could get. They're trying to win in the end of Curry's career. They're trying to make noise. I don't know if they can contend, but they're trying to make that noise and reach the playoffs and do that. But I like these moves for them. Getting Buddy Hield to replace Klay on a friendlier contract, that is a big W for them. Especially if they could revitalize him after the no-show in Philly, that would be a big plus too.
Yeah, they definitely are trying to win because I saw Mike Dunleavy. I don't know if you saw Mike Dunleavy saying, "Oh yeah, Steph, he got whatever he wants in terms of money." So I don't think they want to let him go anywhere unless the team stops being competitive and he comes up to them. But I don't know if I see that scenario happening. I think Steph, as long as the team remains competitive, he's always going to give it, a try. But I like what they did too. It's hard to replace Klay. I think right now though, look, Klay Thompson's obviously not in his prime, and he dealt with 2 really bad injuries back to back. But some of the slander he's getting, I get it. He went 0 for 10 in the playoff game. I just had my boy at work last night telling me, oh, like Clay's trash. Oh, I'm glad, and he's a Lakers fan. Oh, I'm glad, he didn't end up on the Lakers. But like, I don't understand why. The Warriors, look, they got 3 players, and I still don't think that's gonna be enough to replace everything that Klay Thompson is. It's not just coming off the bench scoring 16, 17 points per game, declining defense. I mean, he knows the entire organization. He knows he's got good chemistry with that whole team, and that kind of takes a little bit of time to build. So I do like what the Warriors did because it's inevitable. I'm a little bit like just tired of the Klay Thompson slander. Like the fact that people actually thought he was coming off the bench. Like I think last episode I heard one of them saying he was gonna average like 14 points per game. I don't know. I'd be a little shocked if it was that low too.
At first I said 17, but then I was like, I could see like 14, 15.
Maybe in a couple of years, but I still think he's got some.
He's gonna get a lot of spot up shots. Like Kyrie, what does he do? He drives and kicks. What does Luka do? Drive and kick, man. Like you have one of the best spot up shooters in NBA history, if not the best. Like the motherfucker took 10 dribbles and dropped 60. Like, come on, man. I know like people want to shit on him because of the injuries, and I get it. He has an ego. He won 4 championships. He's not as good as what he was. He may not be accepting that, but sometimes like Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson. When he gets hot, like there's no stopping him. So I do think that's a really good fit for Mavericks. We could get into the Mavericks later, but in terms of Golden State, like to lose a player like that, I think you're losing more not of the talent, but more of that locker room leader. Curry was the guy, but like Klay is a core of that championship team. Why do you think like Iguodala still stuck around? And they ended up getting another championship, even though the guy was riding the bench. It's a culture thing. So that's what you're losing in Klay, going to the Mavericks. But what the Warriors did, and like, I don't know if it's going to be controversial, but I gave them a B for the offseason because, they lost Klay, but they picked up 3 really solid role players. And on top of that, Pozinski, whatever the fuck his name is, this guy, like
he's nice.
He's a baller. He hustle hard. Bro. He's not a shooter like Klay, but he can hit some shots. He hustles. He's a great rebounder for his size. That too. Now you're freeing up more shots for these guys, these young guys, to come in and hopefully give Curry a chance. Ultimately, I love Curry. I don't think he's going to win another championship with this squad.
Hell no.
But at least they're trying. Klay wasn't going to be a part of another championship, I think, with or without him. But it's just sad to see, like, everyone hates on a dynasty, but, like, you got to give their flowers when it's done, and this is the end of a dynasty.
They changed the game.
Yeah. I wasn't that sad when they got rid of Klay. I don't know. I was getting kind of annoyed when he was getting shitted on, and the only counter he had was that. So
that was funny,
like you don't know how much of a smile on my face it put when Devin Booker was cooking him, and the only thing Klay could do was that.
Yeah.
So
hey. He has a point, though.
It's because me personally, I don't know. That whole era, Cavs, Warriors, bro, I was rooting so hard against the Warriors, bro. I don't have no hate towards Klay Thompson, but like, I could see a little bit of the frustrations. Like, I can't defend Draymond because he does a lot of stupid shit. But they were saying that Klay was doing some like a lot of sulking, a lot of bullshit behind the scenes. Like, it wasn't as loud as Draymond, obviously, but he was doing the same shit. I don't condone the shit that Draymond does. I've been on the record to say that he is annoying as shit, and he does get out of line. But I've always thought he was more important to the dynasty than Klay was, and I guess that's why they kind of put up with his ass a little bit more. But
I think that's the thing with Klay when you have 4 championships on a dynasty like that. Like we got to be honest. It's hard not to have an ego. You know, like he's gonna when he's
it's
getting
hard
benched,
not to.
He's gonna feel a type of way about it.
It's hard not to, but then again, look at the face of the franchise.
Oh yeah,
that motherfucker has no ego at all. Kevin Durant walked in the door. He took a step back and said, "This is your team." That's why no matter how I feel about Steph Curry, I always have respect for that man because he was in.
Sure.
He won his MVP unanimously and welcomed Steph Curry, and there was no ego. There's not a lot of guys that would do that. They'll be like, "Nah, this is my shit. I just won MVP." He did not do that shit. And I know the reports came out, oh, he wanted Finals MVP. He was crying. Well, it didn't matter because at the end of the day, they still won 2 chips back to back, and they would have won a third one. And then he wins another one. Like he had, I don't know. He's one motherfucker. He's starting to put pressure on them a little bit now, but that motherfucker has no ego at all. Like even when shit was going bad, he just rode through. We didn't hear shit from him when shit was going super bad, especially in 2021 when I think he led the league in scoring. We didn't hear shit from Steph Curry. And the year after that, they won the chip. So I have a lot of respect for him because there was a lot of fucking turmoil going down, and we didn't hear a word from him, and he just kept doing his thing and hooping. So I would give them the benefit of the doubt, but when your star guy is literally leading by example, like, I have no ego, this and that, and these guys are kind of doing this shit, it's kind of like, yo, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah. Next team, I think it's the Kings, but we
talked about the Kings.
I didn't give my grade for the Warriors. The Warriors, I'll give them like a B+.
I gave them a B.
Yeah. I'd probably give them like a B+, maybe even close to an A-. I mean, you know, I feel like 3 players, like we said, you're not gonna exactly replace Klay Thompson, but you know, it's good enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Next team is the Kings. Don't we really we just talked about them? They added DeRozan. They lost Davion Mitchell. They lost Harrison Barnes.
Chris Duarte.
Chris Duarte.
He went to the Bulls.
Yeah. I mean, this DeRozan move, I like it for them. Is it gonna move them into the upper echelon of the West? No, but it's not gonna drag them down. I would probably give this a B+ as well.
Yeah, I had them at an A-. I'm actually a little bit higher on them just because I think they remind me a lot of like the old Phoenix Suns team, fast pace, like great regular season team, and then they flare out in the playoffs. Even though I do like De'Aaron Fox in the playoffs, but I don't know. That 2 years ago when they had that 3rd seed, I think they took a step back and got humbled. I think this DeRozan pick, like, dude, like, you lost Harrison Barnes, who is a decent role player, but, you know, is not at that level. And Chris Duarte was a bench player. Davion Mitchell was a bench player. You got a star player who's at the end of his prime, but he could be a great 3rd option. I think it's an A- for me.
Yeah, me too. I'd probably say an A-. I really like the DeMar pickup. You know, I think the only question about it, obviously, is going to be, of course, when push comes to shove, 4th quarters and everything, is DeMar going to be the guy that you got him for? Because, like I said, I do watch a lot of Kings games, and their biggest thing is, like, you know, they play at a fast pace, and when the game slows down, it's just like, as great as De'Aaron Fox is, he can't be the one who every single time is just going down there. You know, because, again, he's got the quickness, he's got the shooting, you know, and it's hard for a guy like Keegan Murray when, you know, he doesn't really have that much spacing. A guy like DeMar DeRozan, you know, people just underestimate his ability to create offense by himself, and I think that's going to help the Kings out so much. So I wouldn't necessarily say it wouldn't put them in the upper echelon. I think we have to see. I think the defense is what separates them. But other than that, it's an A- for me because they did nothing, in my opinion, but get better. And, you know, I feel like all offseason, even leading into the trade deadline last year, everybody was like, oh, well, the Kings, they kind of need that third guy. And now they got it. So
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good for them. I can't wait for them to be back, especially everybody healthy. Because the team was really fun to watch. They were like 2 years ago, they were at the top of the league pass for me.
Yeah, they'll probably be this year too.
Yeah. Next team, the New Orleans Pelicans. Big additions. They got DeJounte Murray. No. They drafted Yves Missi. They just signed Daniel Tice. They lost Jonas Valanciunas, Daniel Tice, Larry Nance. For them, I'm not gonna lie, I give them an A-. I really, really like the addition of DeJounte Murray for the Pelicans. I mean, the one big hole for the Pelicans right now is the center spot, because you're not really gonna put faith in. Well, let me say this: the grade so far is more because of DeJounte and less on the fact that they don't have a center yet. Once they're gonna have to figure that out. But I like the DeJounte move because now you're getting CJ out of the point guard spot. CJ is not a point guard. Yeah. CJ is more of a 2. Mm-hmm. And you get DeJounte there, who when he was with Atlanta, he was playing more off the ball alongside Trae Young. And I think DeJounte had his best games when he was the one with the ball in his hands. Whenever Trae was out, we saw DeJounte thrive. Especially that game against Boston. I brought up 2 episodes ago. Trae was out. They were down 30 against Boston. They came back. DeJounte had like 47 that game. That's when you get to see the best version of DeJounte.
Is that when he hit the game winner?
I think so.
He did against Boston.
Yeah. I don't know if it was that one. I remember DeAndre Hunter hit one, but I don't know who that was against. Because DeAndre Hunter hit a game winner too.
Yeah, he did.
I forgot who that was against though. But I like this because he gets to be the point guard for this team. And people talk about the two-way ability. His defense kind of slipped in Atlanta because he was asked to do a little bit more on the ball because it was like your turn, my turn type shit. But now you have Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III, 2 guys that are probably super great wing defenders in this league.
Thank you.
Yeah. And in Atlanta, he was like the point of attack defender. So you're asking of him, you're asking a lot of him defensively, and then bring it back on the offensive side. You're asking him to do too much. Now you got 2 really good wing defenders that could guard the other team's best player, and he could kind of chill out. And he's like their 3rd point of attack defender. So now that's a big jump. So he's probably gonna give more of a defensive effort now, just because he's on a team with a lot more defensive talent and wing talent. The biggest question mark for them, yes, is the center position because they drafted Yves Missi out of Baylor, rookie. We'll see what they do. Brandon Ingram is still likely to be on the move, or he could be on the team still. I think they should explore trading him because I don't know. I think he's probably overstayed his welcome at this point. Yeah. They're in a good situation where like if they could keep him, that's good. But if they could move on and get shit in return for him, that would be great as well. I don't think they should seek to get something in return as good as him. I think they should see if they could get like pieces just to fill in the rest of the spots. Like, can we get a serviceable center? Can we get maybe another backup guard? Can we get another wing? Something like that. You don't have to get another young potential all-star. You don't need that because this team, they're banking on Zion's health and him being available. And this move is basically telling me like, Zion's our guy. We're trusting he's gonna get into shape, and when he is in shape, we think he could do big things because we saw in that playing game he was a fucking monster. And if he didn't get hurt, they probably would have won that game and probably would have faced off with the Nuggets in the first round. They would have been the 7th seed. So they're really just riding high on Zion, but they do got to figure out that center spot. I'll probably give them an A-.
Yeah, for me, I was a little bit tougher. If I had to grade the DeJounte Murray trade, A, if not A+, and then give up too much. You got a guy in his prime.
Him for free.
Yeah, you got a guy in his prime. Like, ask Victor. The only reason why I had a chance last year in fantasy was because or was it 2 years ago? Last year, where he was on the Spurs.
Oh no, that was 2022, 2023, right?
That guy broke out.
Actually, no, that was 21-22. Yeah,
he was basically what SGA was without the scoring. Like it was.
Yeah, he was bugging that year.
Yeah, he was destroying like on both sides, offense and defense, and he worked best as a secondary defender next to like a primary defender like a Devin Vassell at that time. When you go into Atlanta, and you have to cover for a defenseless player like Trae Young, you're gonna look bad. And then you're taking away the on-ball skills that you displayed in San Antonio. Like, I could see why his value went down. But like as you said, when Trae Young went down, you saw what this guy was capable of. So getting a guy like that who you can put right back on ball, it's great 100% for them. But overall, like, I'm just grading them as a team. Offseason, I still think they have a huge hole in the center. I think you have a looming trade with Brandon Ingram. And I think, honestly, if I was them, I would pick Ingram over Zion just because of the injury history. But just because of the pieces you have with Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, like, you have wings that can all be starters, and one of them has to go. So I could see why Ingram is the fall guy, but it's just overall as a team for me. I like the Murray pickup. The big question is the center spot, and then, secondary to that is where's Brandon Ingram going. So I don't want to give him a high grade if they trade for, if they trade Ingram for something else, and I want to take that back, so I give him a B.
Yeah. I
have to be honest, my grading was going to be very similar there. I was kind of going to separate it from the DeJounte Murray trade, which honestly, I'd give an A, maybe even an A+. I absolutely love the fit. I think it's perfect for a guy like Zion Williamson as a fan of the good old days with Lob City. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, perhaps. We'll see there. But I think, like, if I had to give an off-season grade, as harsh as it might sound, I think I might give them like a C or C+. Because I like what their team is. But, kind of like what Anthony said, like, they have that big hole at center. And then, like, when I look at their payroll, because you see, when you guys were talking about Brandon Ingram, I was going to say, I'd be shocked if he's still there by the trade deadline. I mean, training camp, I can understand that. But by the trade deadline, I'd be absolutely shocked because, they're not going to trade Zion because they already have him locked until, 2028. And I'm sure they could probably find suitors for that. But it's going to be hard for them to take that type of contract, especially with, the uncertainty of his health because he's missed so many games.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like, you have Trey Murphy, who's on a team deal, a team option right now, and his contract is going to expire. They're going to want to extend him, so the way I see it, and then with CJ McCollum too, he's making $33 million, 25 and 26. He's a free agent in 2026. So I just think they're going to be a really expensive team. If they were to keep Brandon Ingram, you'd probably have to trade CJ McCollum because this is New Orleans. They care a lot more about the Saints, to be honest, too. I'm just keeping it real.
And
they're not going to spend luxury tax on keeping this team intact. So I'd be very shocked by that, and I know we'll talk later about Brandon Ingram fits and stuff.
I mean, shit, we could talk about it now.
But I feel like the Pelicans. But I feel like the Pelicans as a whole, like we talked about the Kings already, and obviously I'm not saying there's still a lot of free agents out there, of course, but I think they have most of their team settled to where if training camp started today, they can hit the ground running. You can't do that with New Orleans. Like, they just have so many holes to fill. And it's like, once they do fill them, we'll see when they do it, how much time they'll have. So to me, I give them a C because I just kind of feel like their offseason is incomplete, to say the least. Like, they can't go in with that team. That's a playing team right now. Until they get a center.
They need
especially
a center.
With this day and age in the NBA, all of these big guys that, they're in the West. They got to go up against, Jokic, Karl Towns, Wemby, all of these big guys in the West. So it's going to be hard for them to do that with no center, which I know they'll get eventually, but can't trust Yves Missi now.
Yeah. What is the best landing spot for Brandon Ingram?
What's the best, or where do I think he's going to go?
You can say both.
I I don't know. I just have a huge hunch. And I'm a Bulls fan. I don't really want him, to be honest. I don't think he matches what the future should be and what they're trying to build. But I think there's a clean swap there with him and Levine. I just have a feeling. You know,
I think
two big contracts.
I would like that more for New Orleans than
I just.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. If they could get
shitty
if the Pelicans could get Vooch out of that, because they would need it.
I could see that, but I think they want to get rid of Levine first.
Yeah, they do.
I think he ends up there, which is unfortunate for me.
That would be so bad for the Bulls, bro. And that's not for me. And that's not a knock on Brandon Ingram, but it's just like the Bulls should be trying to be bad next year, bro.
Yes. See, I disagree because what I see with that now, that part you're right. You know, the fact that they should try to be bad and try to get somebody like a Cooper Flag and kind of start over as a franchise or whatnot. But like I remember, obviously with Anthony, my brother, I talked to him, on a daily basis almost. And I think a couple of days ago, I was like very interested in that. And I like to, think about scenarios in my head all the time. And I thought about that, like Brandon Ingram to, New Orleans for Zach LaVine. And I would have to look more into that to see if they'd have to pay luxury tax because Zach makes a lot of money. I think they'd have to throw in another player in there. New Orleans, maybe one or two guys so that they can match up salaries. But I think if the Bulls got Brandon Ingram, knowing that he wants $208 million, the guy's going to freaking ball out. And by the time the trade deadline comes, you see, that's the thing. When trade deadline comes, almost every single playoff team is willing to overpay for an asset like that if they feel like it can advance them. And then he's only, 26, 27 years old. So, there's no reason if he's playing that good for a team to not extend him. I think the only thing that would be detracted from the Bulls is like, how many games is he going to take away from us? And, we just re-signed Patrick Williams. We got Matas Buzelis. He might deter their growth a little bit, but I don't know, maybe only for a few months and you can get, 2, maybe even 3 first-round picks out of it. Could be useful for the Bulls, but that's only one team. So
I like that idea, but my only thing is, it's the Bulls. Are you confident that they're gonna make make a good deal? Because based on the last couple shits they've done, it hasn't been good.
Giddey.
Like a team like Utah with Danny Ainge, I could trust he's gonna make the right move. Like I could trust him taking on that contract, let him ball out, and then you could get way more than what he's worth back. But do I trust the Bulls when they couldn't even get the equal value for Alex Caruso? Hell no. Yeah. They got Josh Giddey for free, basically.
Yeah, as the Bulls fan, how did you feel about that with the Josh Giddey trade?
Yeah, we talked about it. I just don't understand with the 50 picks that OKC has, we can get like the lowest of value of the numerous first round picks.
Josh Caruso,
I couldn't understand. I think someone offered a lottery pick this year for Caruso, which is crazy. Like I would have just taken it instead of just being a mid-tier playing team. Like I just didn't understand that. But that's why I have a hunch. Like I'm not a big fan of this GM. I tried listening to, his conferences and his press conferences and trying to see what direction he wants to go. But I just have a feeling he would make some sort of trade like this, and just give away Zach LaVine for a guy that doesn't fit the team. That's the only way I would feel positive about this, if they can just, have him like put up a shit ton of stats and then try to flip him, very early on.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna try to keep him, like now you're preventing Matis Buzelis. Yeah, you're preventing him from growing and learning. I know he's a rookie, but like he was like a projected top 3 pick last year. So like as a Bulls fan, like it was. I don't have confidence in the team, and I can 100% see them doing stupid trade like this. But
I like that idea, but I do not trust the Bulls to make the right move when it comes time to do that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get more for Nikola Vukovic. I expect them to get more for Vukovic than they do for Levine, because I think in order for them to trade Levine, there's a good chance they might even have to throw in a first-round pick.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They're that desperate to trade him.
Yeah. The next team is the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, just by that I could already tell. Key additions: Dalton Connect and Bronny James. New head coach.
Is that a key addition?
JJ Redick. I don't know if they've lost anyone, but it's pretty much the same team as last year. You're just adding Dalton Connect and Bronny. Let's go out and say it, bro. To me, this is like a D or D minus. I like Dalton Connect a lot. They needed him badly.
Yes, they did.
But I don't know. I think Jordan's a little bit higher on the Lakers this upcoming season more than I am. I just don't see it, bro. They're adding in JJ Redick, who is a inexperienced first-time head coach. I'm emphasizing that because there are a lot of first-time coaches that come into the league and they do succeed, but they have years and years of coaching experience, whether that's college level, whatever, or being an assistant for another team, but they have years. JJ Redick is coming from literally here, podcasting, and going into head coaching. He does have a good mind for the game, no pun intended, and he's a very smart dude. We'll see. I have faith that some of their offensive plays might be a little lit. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just a lot of wait and see stuff and how he's gonna be able to manage the team, because that's really what it comes down to when you're a coach. Not only do you have to do the X's and O's, you got to be able to do a little bit of everything. Motivate the team, know your rotation. I think X's and O's, he'll probably kind of have an idea of what to do. I mean, they did add who did they add to their bench? They added Scott Brooks and somebody else. I think it was Nate McMillan. To the staff. So those, I like those moves. those are two moves I like, but that's not really on the court. That's on the coaching staff. But that will probably help him. But this team is getting older. LeBron's about to be 40, going into year 22. We just saw them have the healthiest season in the AD LeBron era between the two of them, and they still missed they didn't miss the playoffs, but
they got swept.
Right? They lost in 5 to the Nuggets. Five. But it was really, they were close, bro. It's just the Warriors and the Rockets were so much under them. They were like at 9th for pretty much like a good amount of time. But I don't know. I don't see Anthony Davis having another healthy season like that next year. You capitalized on it because this is what we talked about. Can Anthony Davis stay healthy and do this? Because when he does play, he's a fucking great player. And we saw him play a shit ton of games last year, and they weren't even a playoff lock. So I don't think they're going to repeat that same health next year. On top of that, you're adding in the same thing. Like, imagine like D'Lo going into training camp. Like, I was going to get traded like how many times? And now you're still here. So it's just like, yeah, man, I'm not really high on them. It feels more like a Hollywood show. You got Bronny there.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. LeBron got one of his friends as the coach. It just feels more theatrical than it does feel like more like a championship team.
That for sure.
So I'm not really high on the Lakers this year, bro.
Yeah, I was a little nicer. I actually gave him a C+. Victor knows, like, I am a huge LeBron hater. I'm not even a hater like that. I just don't like the guy on the court. He's a great guy off the court. But I was a little bit nicer because they picked up a steal in Dalton Connect.
Out of Tennessee.
An experienced player. He had a lot on his plate in Tennessee. You know, he's coming in older so he can help out right away. They grabbed him.
He was a super senior, right? I think it was his 5th year.
Yeah,
he's like 23 years old or something.
Yeah, because he was he was playing. I think he was playing somewhere for 2 years, and then he transferred.
He wasn't in Tennessee his whole.
Yeah, he was in Tennessee. I think he was only in Tennessee for like a year, because he was somewhere else.
But he can help out right away. Yeah. They stole him. He was projected like a top 5 pick or a top 10. They picked him up for nothing. For me, why that, and then why I gave
Colorado.
Yeah, and then before that, he was in junior college.
Yeah.
For 2 years. Yeah.
For me, why I gave him a little bit higher than that was because I see, it's a theatrical show. Yeah, he has the son and the friend as a coach, but I'm looking at it from like comfortability. When LeBron had his guys like a Tyronn Lue as a coach, like that's when his team succeeded. So I'm also really high on JJ Redick. Like, I watched his podcast before. I'm a huge fan on how he dissects the game. I even like when he's announcing as well, how he's dissecting each play. Like, for beginners, like I can see how that's going to translate well as a coach. You have 2 experienced head coach. One I'm a fan of, Nate McMillan. The other one, Scotty Brooks, I think is useless. No offense, but I think it just creates a better environment for LeBron of comfortability to, really just have a decent season and hopefully save himself for the playoffs. And then the biggest elephant in the room, his fucking son is on the team. Like, it's nuts that you get to play with your son. Even though I don't think he's really going to do shit in the NBA. I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm just trying to be realistic. But I think that's going to be really a cool moment as a father and a son, and then as fans in the NBA, just to see that. Yeah. So I give him like a C+ just because of all of that coming together and, being a comfortable team to hopefully succeed. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No. Do I think they're going to make the play-in? I think so.
Well, it's definitely nicer than me. And I respect that take for sure. But honestly, I don't think I could give them anything higher than a D, and that's just me personally. Honestly, when I look at the Lakers, go on the computer, I type in their depth chart, I'm just like, what the hell is this? Seriously. It's like the weirdest team in the NBA to me. Obviously, like, both of you guys said it. Like getting the whole, respectfully, and it's nothing against, Bronny. I kind of feel a little bad for him, but he, people have to understand why people get so annoyed. I've never heard a second round pick get talked about as much as him. Everybody knows Bronny James. Is anybody that's not a Knicks fan know Pacome Dadier? Because I didn't even know who that was before we freaking drafted him, And who knows? We play in the Summer League tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacome Dadier could be some freaking superstar. It could be like Kevin Knox was in the Summer League for us,
Tyler Colagara.
So for me, like the Lakers, I'm just very confused in the direction they're going. I felt like, and it's nothing against LeBron and whatnot. However I feel about him, I'm not here to be biased or whatnot. I'm just keeping it real. And I think right now LeBron, if it was me, I would have not even thought twice to come back to that team. I would have been left. I just don't think that team, the trajectory of where they're at, fits with the other teams in the West. You got a guy that's about to retire. Anthony Davis is still in his prime, but, he's a major injury too from, being basically like Klay Thompson, coming back and not being in your prime, and then what do you have after that? You have Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell. The age gaps are all over the place there, and it's like, do they even really fit in with each other? Yeah. Like, to me, their offseason was just more like, okay, well, we'll make you happy, LeBron. We'll do whatever you want or whatnot, and then when it's time for you to go, it's
we got your son, we got your extension.
Exactly. Yeah. And to your guys' point as well, absolutely love the JJ Redick hiring. I'm just very concerned that, with him being in LA, the whole culture there and everything, how long he's going to last, because those fans are very impatient. Yeah. And I expect them to be in a rebuild as soon as LeBron retires. And again, it's not me trying to hate on LeBron or anything of that sort. I just honestly feel like him being on that team in general, just holding that team back. Yeah. And, you know, because again, and I know everything I'm saying kind of sounds like I'm hating on him, but at this point, is he even a top 5 player in the West? I mean, you got Shea, you got Luka, you got Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama's right there. I mean, Edwards, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant still. I mean, Stephen Curry still got it. You know, so to me, flat out, I give him a D. And it's not because, you know, I'm trying to hate on them or anything of that sort. I just don't think that, you know, their off-season, specifically for this season, like, I just didn't see them improving. I don't see them, you know, I can see them missing the play-in tournament. I'm not saying they will, but if they make the playoffs, they make the playoffs. But I don't see them going very far at all. And, you know, you made this whole show about Bronny James, and then you tell us he's going to be in the G League. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a cool moment when he's on the court with his dad. But it's like, okay, like, what are you going to do? Okay, he stepped on him with his dad. Now, all right, go to the G League. Like, you know? So that's how I feel about the Lakers.
No, yeah. Like, and another thing I want to say about JJ Redick, like, I don't think he's going to do bad. Like, I mean, let me not say that. But, like, I'm not hoping he does bad. I hope he actually succeeds. I have no hate for him. I'm a Duke fan. It's just I'm more concerned about the fact that he's joining this team with, we don't know how long or how many years LeBron has left, and there's a lot of pressure in LA. There's a lot of scrutiny, and even if maybe some injury happens and unfortunately they don't make the playoffs, where's that blame gonna go? It's gonna go on him. Mm-hmm. When me personally, I thought JJ Redick, I see the potential he has. I would have liked to see him go to a bad team and kind of just like
I just thought about this, especially him being the shooter he is, dude. Detroit, I thought it would have been perfect for him.
Yeah,
everyone out, man.
Yeah, and like just I would have liked him to go see him go to a bad team, kind of set his own foundation, establish his own philosophies, and kind of grow from there. But now you're going to the Lakers, or like you could try to do that, but if shit isn't working out right away, it's like you're gonna be the scapegoat immediately, and you're kind of like hampering yourself, because if shit goes bad there, a lot of other teams are gonna be like, I don't like how that shit played out, and they might not even take a chance on you. Like you could be in like a Steve Nash situation and shit like that. But I hope he does well, just for his sake. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. But I'm not really too high on them. The next team after that is the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns. I mean, I don't even know what to say about them.
Yeah, that's my worst grade that I've ever won. Yeah,
I know they added Ryan Dunn.
There you go.
Yeah. Who else did they add though?
Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee. Monte Morris.
Who did they lose? I know they lost. They've been lost.
Lost in the first round. That's what they lost.
The Phoenix Suns. I'm gonna give them a. This is also another D, I think, bro. I like Ryan Dunn. I like him a lot. I wanted him to go to the Knicks. I wanted the Knicks to get him instead of Daddy A, but we'll find out tomorrow at 5:00 if Daddy A is the real deal. But they got Ryan Dunn, who I came up here and said he is the best defensive player in the draft, which I still think is true.
Yes.
Phoenix desperately needed that because they got packed up in the playoffs. But outside of that, I don't know what else. Did they add anyone at point guard?
Monte Morris.
Okay, see,
Morris,
all right, see, that is a good pickup. I'll move it up to a D plus. D plus. I was gonna say C minus, but that sounds a little bit too much. I'll move it up to a D plus because they had no point guard last year, and that shit did not work. You need a point guard. Devin Booker, I know he's played point guard back with Earl Watson. He used to tell him to go figure it out, but that shit does not work, bro. Devin Booker thrives the most when he is the shooting guard on the team. Bradley Beal is also not a point guard. He is also a shooting guard. Matt Ishbia shot this team in the foot by making that trade because now you have two shooting guards on this team. Kevin Durant is getting older. He's another guy. He had a pretty healthy season. He's another guy who's good to get hurt in a season, and that could fuck up your season as well. The best thing that happened to this team this season was Grayson Allen. That was the best thing that happened to this team. And Nurkic, he's another guy. He's like, he's okay. He's cool. But yeah, this team is very, very thin. There's not a deep team at all. Very one-dimensional. We know what they're trying to do. They're trying to score. Adding Ryan Dunn, I like it. You add a point of attack defender. Monte Morris is a good pickup. When he was a backup, he was probably one of the best backup guards in the league. But we'll see how it goes now. But I'm not too high on them next year at all. Even though the one excuse you could give them is, oh, Bradley Beal was out a lot last year. Because there was a moment in time where like Booker and KD would play, but Beal was out. Yeah. Then Beal's healthy, Booker's out. Then
I think
it would just be back and forth.
Three of them, I don't think they even hit 20 games.
Yeah, they didn't play that many games together. So that's the one thing Phoenix fans you could hold on to right now. But we gotta see. Maybe you guys play more games together, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really that high on them, but I give them a D. What the fuck did I say? D plus.
D plus.
Yeah, D plus. It's a D plus.
D plus.
Yeah, they were my lowest grade. I gave them a D.
Yeah.
Again, no pickups, really. Mason Plumlee, watched his career for a while now. Being a Lillard fan, I saw him in Portland. He didn't do shit. Charlotte, he was a little underrated, but again, they weren't really winning games with him. And then we thought that was a great pickup for the Clippers last year. And again, he really didn't do shit. So backing up Nurkic, okay, I see it, but like, I don't think he's going to be that impactful. Nurkic, for me, I think he's a regular season guy. He got destroyed by Rudy Gobert. It was embarrassing. And honestly, he was probably one of the biggest reasons, me and Victor were talking about it, why they lost. They got swept in the first round. So I could see why they got Mason Plumlee. But that center is a big question. The point guard situation, I like the Morris pickup, but is he even really going to get playing time when you have two superstars, quote unquote, making a shit ton of money, playing the same position? Obviously, one of them is going to end up playing point guard, so you're taking away that opportunity from Monte. So I don't even see him getting that shine that I think he could make an impact with. But Ryan Dunn, I love that pickup. That's why I didn't give him an F. I actually wished the Bucks picked up Ryan Dunn. That would have been perfect next to Lillard, but we could get to the Bucks later. That was a great pickup. That's why I didn't give him an F. He could be a great guy to step in and really give that team some defensive presence that you're really not getting. Honestly, you really only get from like a Kevin Durant on help defense, and same thing with Nurkic. There's no real on-ball defenders, but that was a great pickup for them.
Yeah.
That's something promising, but like the window is down for them. Is he really going to get that opportunity, or is he going to come in spurts like that? That's like the question mark. So I gave him a D. They're my lowest graded playoff team from last year. And yeah.
Wow. Okay. This might be very shocking. If this was last season, I wouldn't even give him a grade. I'd probably give him an F, if to tell you the truth. I'm a Chris Paul fan, so I thought that last year, I thought that was the stupidest trade, arguably in the last 5-10 years, one of the stupidest, because they literally traded away exactly what they needed. Yeah. Just an old version of it. But I am actually going to give this, not last year, this offseason, based off what they had last year, probably a B minus, because me personally, or any of the pickups necessarily sexy? No, but the sexiness, if you want to say that, I guess, it's in the starting lineup to me. Honestly, absolutely love the Grayson Allen pickup. I think is he not leading the league in 3-point percentage? He's up there.
Yeah, he shot like 46%.
Yeah, he shot like 46% from three. One of the better, most underrated defenders, and this is coming from somebody. I mean, I don't know if he remembers. I freaking hated Grayson Allen, especially when he was wearing that uniform on the Bucks. But I mean, who didn't hate him when he was in Duke? Anyway, Mason Plumlee, he's another one. I've never not liked Mason Plumlee. I mean,
he's always been a solid player.
If you want me to tell you the truth, I think especially offensively, I think he might be more useful than Nurkic at this point. Nurkic shot like 25% from three. He's I think after that catastrophic injury he had in Portland with his leg, he's come back. He's very slow-footed, horrible at defense. Mason Plumlee at least averaged like a block per game when he was in Denver at one point in time. So, Monte Morris as a backup point guard I like, because that's been my biggest issue with the Suns is if you can get, if they got DeJounte Murray, for example, I think I'd have them going to the finals. Seriously. Even with Nurkic, who I'm not that high on, because I think if you just put somebody that can organize, especially off of pick and rolls, that can organize that type of, offensive play style for them, I think it's perfect. But also, what played into my grading was, first of all, wasn't a big fan of them firing Monty Williams to begin with. I thought he was a good coach that didn't really show anything but improvement every single year, essentially. But they did what they did, got Frank Vogel, and I love the Mike Budenholzer pickup. I think the X's and O's he's going to have. I mean, this is the team that he lost to in the finals, so I know he knows them very well. And I think that's going to, when the regular season comes and stuff, I think that's going to show what Mike Budenholzer's always been. Even in Atlanta, it was a guy that's obviously going to win you a lot of games, but a guy that knows how to make good defensive teams out of, teams that might not have the defensive prowess. And I think this team, Devin Booker's a very underrated defender. I think this team's pretty good defensively, especially getting Ryan Dunn. They probably won't keep Josh Okogie now. I don't know if he signed anywhere the last time I checked. But if they were to keep him, honestly, I think I'd give him almost an A, because, how much can you really do when you don't have any picks till 2076? Seriously, you don't have any picks. What can you really do with your assets? So I think they made the most of what they could do. That's why it's hard for me to give them a lower grade.
Yeah, the Budenholzer, that is a good hiring.
Yeah.
He's going to have a lot on his plate, because what they did with Frank Vogel was criminal.
Oh,
yeah.
Because Frank Vogel is a really good coach.
Yeah.
He didn't have the personnel, and he got scapegoated. Because Frank Vogel is known for his defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
This team did not have that personnel, and they took his ass right out of there. Hopefully Budenholzer could figure it out. But he's a guy who he's notoriously known for his not making his adjustments
in the playoffs.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes this year. But ultimately I'm just not that high on them. Especially because they have Monte Morris, but is he gonna start? Hell no.
No.
They're not putting Bradley Beal's 50 mil ass on the bench.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Their main need was point guard, and another big would have been helpful as well too. I mean, the Mason Plumlee,
decent big.
Yeah, decent big. Yeah. Mason Plumlee pickup. I like that pickup.
It's okay.
Yeah, you can say that. But there was a lot of Clippers games I watched, and I was like, "Yo, Mason Plumlee, damn!" And with the Nuggets too, I'm like, "Damn."
He's very scrappy.
That's a good pickup. But I feel like they're just gonna run into a lot of the same problems this upcoming season. Yeah.
That's why I can't give them I don't. That's a team that, in my opinion, look at the talent. They should win. They should be the first seed. Okay, but that's probably not going to happen.
Oh yeah, but their idea of stacking the deck with stars, that's such a 2010s mentality. The formula now that we've seen is like 2 stars, 2 superstars, and role players.
Yeah.
That's like the formula. Stacking the deck and being top heavy, that shit doesn't work unless your 3 stars actually like fit together.
Yeah, I mean the CBA basically forced that. That's why they had to trade Chris Paul. They technically could have kept him, but Matt Ishbia would be paying crazy amounts of money out of his own pocket. And that's why to me, like you said, I think they just got way too eager. I mean, they were the only team to give Denver 2 games. Like they should have looked at that and said, we're really not that far away. We don't need to trade for another star that's going to give us 20 points and trade away mistake. One of the best point guards of all time. Not even being biased, just keeping it real.
You know what's crazy? Even in that series, even though they got 2 games, I still wasn't like.
Yeah, they had to play Superman.
Exactly. That was the issue. No, but not even that. They had to play Supernova just to even like win those. Because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, one of the games they won, Landry Shamet had like 19 points off the bench.
Yes.
On top of Devin Booker scoring like 46. On top of Kevin Durant scoring like 35. So they needed that Landry Shamet game just to win. And I remember, I think that game, Jokic also had like 51 points. I think it was game 4. It was one of those games in Phoenix. Jokic had like 50 something. And it was a close. And I just remember vividly that Landry Shamet he could not miss that game. And that was like kind of like the determining factor. I remember that game. But when it came down to like the closeouts, they just laid flat. And I don't know what it is in this Phoenix era, but they've been going out like they've been going out sad ever since the finals. They've been going outside every single year.
Yeah.
Like even in that Nuggets series, like it was 3-2 after that crazy ass game 4 or game 3, whatever, and it was 3-2 Nuggets, and the Nuggets just whooped the fuck out of them on their own court. Like it was crazy. They didn't even want to be there. But, it's not looking too good. But next team, Dallas Mavericks, the runner-up in this past NBA season. And I'm not going to lie, bro. They had a great offseason.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would like to say this bullshit about Klay is the best thing they got. Me personally, I disagree. I think their best their best addition was Najee Marshall.
I like that pick.
I think that was the best pickup. Point of attack defender you get after losing Derrick Jones. Not as good of a defender as Derrick Jones, but he is a notch below, and he just shot 40% from 3 this past season. So that's another point of attack and 3-point shooter that you're adding next to Luka. And then another pickup, Quentin Grimes. Q Grimes. I know the aura around his name is really bad right now because of the season he just had, but I think with this role it's gonna be a lot simpler. It's gonna be simplified. Gonna be able to play defense. He's a real good defender. Like people forget that part. I know his shot wasn't falling, but he has a nice ass jump shot.
Oh my god!
We both know when his shot is falling, that motherfucker could play. So I'm buying into he'll have a better season this year. I think that's a great pickup for them. And then obviously Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson to me is like, if you could get what some people think that he still is, or what he could possibly provide for you, that's a cherry on top to me. To me, they got better prior to Klay Thompson. A lot of people tend to ignore the Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes thing. Yeah. They just look at Klay and they're like, oh yeah, they got better. No doubt. But to me, those 2 guys, they made them better. This Klay shit is like a cherry on top because now you have 2 guys that if Klay's having a bad game, you could sit Klay and we're fine. We still got PJ. We still got our guys most of our guys. And you're still fine. You got Najee now. You got Q Grimes. I believe Josh Green isn't there no more, I think. Or is he?
I think he got traded.
He might have
on that 6-way trade.
Yeah, it was a 6. Yes,
I think he's in Charlotte.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I think they're confident if Klay's having a bad night, all right, we can replace him because Quentin Grimes to this point is a better defender than Klay Thompson. Najee Marshall to this point is a better defender than Klay Thompson. Q Grimes, the shot was streaky, but I'm buying into that he will have a better season shooting the ball this year. But if Klay can give you those nights where he'll give you like 19 to 21 points on good efficiency. I'm not talking about, because there were games this year where Klay would have 16 points, but he's 5 for 19. Fuck that. You get 10 shots, motherfucker. That's all you get. If he could have the nights where he could get you 17 to 19 points on good efficiency, to me that is a plus. That is a cherry on top, and that is something this Dallas Mavericks team needed desperately, especially in the finals. So if they could get that from Klay, that is the cherry on top for them. It's gonna make Klay's life a little bit easier. I know people like to say, "Oh, he's playing with Luka, who's the most triple team player in the league." Blah blah blah. I'm only mocking because somebody in the comments came at me because they're like, "Oh, he's a good pickup. Luka gets tripled all the time. He's gonna get open shots." I'm like, he was playing with fucking Steph Curry, who was getting double teamed as soon as he crossed over half court. How is he not open then still? But if he could add the 3-point shooting at an efficient rate, this is a cherry on top for the Dallas Mavericks. I give the Dallas Mavericks an A for the offseason.
I thought you were going to go a little lower with that, but I was a little bit more harsh.
Damn.
I gave him a B+. I just got to say...
Really harsh.
I mean, not from...
Yeah.
I don't think it was an A. I think it,
Yeah.
Number one, I love me some Najee Marshall. Picked him up in fantasy a couple times. Watched some Pelican games and how he stepped in and literally was another version of like a Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, just a guy that is just going to be gritty and can knock down some shots. I think he was an upgrade from Derrick Jones, which is crazy because they got like pretty much the same contract.
Yeah.
But you got to be crazy if Klay's not your number one, like, pickup from free agency. From him, Najee, and
Quentin
Grimes. Klay is Klay, man. I know he's not as good as what he was, but all it takes is just one shot to go in, and the motherfucker is just going to start shooting. And once he starts getting hot, it's another superstar on your team. You're not going to get that with Najee. You're not going to get that with Quentin
But we're saying that because of the name and the...
Yes. Yeah, but
the history. The reason I'm saying that is because Klay's not the defender he used to be. So if the shot's not falling, he's essentially a zero out there, low-key.
I can agree with that. But I think... when you have so much attention on two on-ball dribblers, I know in Golden State you had Curry. You mentioned Curry. And I know Draymond was like a high pick-and-roll player.
Yeah.
But you have two pick-and-roll players that are literally driving kicks. All it takes is just the ball to just find that open guy and him just running around. He's one of the best at doing it, along with JJ. That it just takes one shot for him to get hot. So I don't know. In my opinion, I think you got to go with Klay as the hottest pickup, like the biggest pickup for the Mavericks, and it is an improvement on the team. Do I think it's an A worthy? No, because he's not Klay Thompson from before his two past injuries. Do I think Najee is going to be that much of an impactful player? I think so. But not to that extent because you have Kyrie, you got Klay, you got Luka to give minutes. That's 3 guard-type players to really give high minutes to. When Najee and also Quentin Grimes are more guard-like players to share those minutes with. So I don't think Najee's going to get the amount of minutes I think that he should get for that team compared to, like what Klay would be getting. So I don't think he's going to be that much of an impactful player. And then along with Quentin Grimes, I'm still high on Quentin Grimes. Watch a lot of Knicks games. I still think his shot is there, even though, he was traded and went to, I don't know what the fuck is going on with Detroit. It's just Brick City over there. But I think his shot comes back, especially, again, with the 2 driving kicks, pick and roll players in Kyrie and Luka. I just think they front loaded themselves too much on the guard spot rather than one of the biggest needs, I think, is like a center. I know they have, sorry, not a center, like a forward to kind of do everything. Because I like the Daniel Gafford pickup they had at the trade deadline. I like Derek Lively coming in as a rookie and just being impactful, but I think they need that kind of do it all wing, to really close the whole gap. And I know they have PJ Washington. I don't know, just something about him I just don't believe in. I think his head is not in it 100% of the times. That's just my opinion. But I think that would have taken it from like a B plus to an
A. Yeah, well, first of all, that was really funny. What he said about Quentin Grimes, because Quentin Grimes is like, if he can't get his shot in Detroit, like, nobody. It's really Brick City.
The spacing over there was
what is going on.
The spacing over there was fucking ridiculous, bro.
Him, even Bogey before he came to the Knicks, Bogdanovich before he came to the Knicks, like he was shooting bad over there too. In the first season, he was shooting good. He was averaging like 21 points per game. But anyways, for the Mavericks, I'm gonna be honest. For me, this is like easily an A- or an A. I actually really like their all season a lot. As well, and I respect your opinion. I respect Jordan's and everything. I saw the last episode and stuff. But, like, I feel like people are forgetting just because, like, they got Klay Thompson and, like, again, with the social media age, like, just now I say Klay Thompson to, like, this one guy at work. Oh, 0 for 10, 0 for 10? Oh, you mean Mr. 0 for 10? Seriously, I swear. I'm like, okay, so four rings like doesn't matter?
Terrence Shannon had 25 tonight.
Oh, from Minnesota, right? Minnesota, yeah, he should have been a lottery pick.
Hell yeah.
But obviously, I know he had that rape case that got dropped. Yeah. That they said supposedly they found absolutely no evidence at all.
He got acquitted,
so that's why they got it. So, I don't know, probably made something up there. But anyways, with the Mavericks, like, again, people are forgetting, like, this team was just in the finals for a reason. And then you add somebody like Klay Thompson. I mean, I just checked because I forgot slightly, but the starting lineup was Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford. And me personally, like, Derek Lively's healthy. That might change a lot of things in that series. I don't know if they'd win, but just Derek Lively being healthy in this lineup, I absolutely love. Did they keep Daniel Gafford as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have, a backup with Daniel Gafford there. So honestly, I like that even more. Quentin Grimes, again, he's another one. Look, and Anthony knows this about me. I don't overreact to a player having, one bad season. You have to look at metrics all the time. I mean, I used to say that all the time with Brandon Ingram. Laker fans were like,
super
impatient
with him, bro.
Yeah, super impatient with him. And then they traded him to New Orleans, and the guy became a star.
Yeah,
as soon as right away. Even his last year in L.A. But like all you need with Derek Lively is patience, and I think overall with the Mavericks, like again with Klay, look, of course this isn't prime Klay. It's like I remember a few years back, Aaron Rodgers. They said had a bad season, and he had 6 interceptions. 6. Klay Thompson, in his quote-unquote bad season, 18 points per game and 38% from the three-point line. Who in Detroit shoots 38%? Okay.
Nobody.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I mean, if 38% is a bad shot percentage, and you're playing, yes, I know Stephen Curry, has a lot of spacing there. What about when Stephen Curry's off the floor? What about when he's injured, which, I mean, he misses a lot of time. That's what I'm saying. The spacing is not as good. And then you have Klay Thompson, who is clearly, I mean, he's 34 years old. He's not, going to be the same guy that, even though, he doesn't need to dribble. I mean, he scored 62 points on 12 dribbles. But you get my point. Like, he's not the guy anymore that, is going to run around the court looking like J.J. Redick all game. You know what I mean? Trying to get the ball away, and he really doesn't have to do that. I think even with Kyrie Irving in there, that adds just even more to that. I mean, Kyrie Irving is a guy, you can't just leave this guy, one-on-one wide open on an island like that, and then Luka Doncic. Like, I don't know. I just see, especially Jason Kidd, how, he's another one. I have to give him credit. I was very hard on him when he first started coaching in Milwaukee and Brooklyn, but he's gotten a lot better. And, it's still not perfect, but I think he's really going to make things mesh. And I expect him, at the very least, to be back in the second round, probably even the conference finals. So I'm pretty high on the Dallas Mavericks this season.
I just really like their offseason. The Clay shit, so wait and see. Damn, if he has a bad season next year.
But to me, it's like, what's a bad season? Suck. Like 16 points per game and 37% from three. Like, I'll take that in New York any day.
I wouldn't want him on the Knicks.
I don't think it's a point thing for him. I think it's an efficiency. If he could shoot,
it's an efficiency thing, and it's like, it's just a lot of pressure. Because there was a lot of games last year. Yeah, the counting stats say what it is, but there was a lot of games last year where he would be like 5 for 18. 7 for 20. Yeah, I saw a lot of that last year. Fucking 2 for 12 from 3. Yeah. Like, and when he's giving you that, and with his defense not being what it used to be, it's a black hole. Yeah, hell yeah, I'd rather have Quentin Grimes playing. Yeah. When I saw that motherfucker steal a ball from Jimmy Butler while he cramped up in game. Like, I saw that shit. Yeah. And I'm trusting that, like, the same way people say that they have Luka and Kyrie, Clay's gonna get open shots. I'm saying the same for Quentin Grimes. I know his shot didn't fall last year, but I'm buying it's going to come back this year. But this is a guy who offers something on the other side that's going to keep him on the court. Same thing with Najee Marshall. And with Jason Kidd, he's going to prioritize that defense. He's like, I have Luka Doncic, who averages 35 a game. I have Kyrie Irving, who in the regular season could average 27 points a game. Why do I need to add on to the offense? I need to capitalize on my defense. These two guys will figure it the fuck out. They could get Derek Lively involved with the lob game. I know we saw Jason Tatum take that shit away in the finals, but regular season, that shit gonna be there. PJ Washington is gonna get those corner threes in the regular season. I just think Jason Kidd is gonna be like, yo, we need to figure out our identity on defense, because we got two motherfuckers that could score the ball with the best of them, and they could average like 60 points between the two of them, and we're gonna just hone in on our defensive abilities. And I just think Klay Thompson is not, like, I don't think it's just
that's my biggest concern is his defense. Because honestly, I'm gonna be I expect him to have games where he's gonna be 2 for 10 or 3 for 11, whatever it is. And when he has those games, especially when the games are winding down, Jason Kidd might take him out, or he might say, obviously this isn't your game. But I also expect him to have games where, he's going to be like 5 for 7 from 3, or 6 for 8, whatever it is. Like, I expect that inconsistency, especially when he's 34 years old. But I think, that can get disguised with the shooting around him. And I think, like you said, as long as you have somebody like Najee Marshall who could come in, probably, of course, he's not going to shoot like Klay Thompson, even if he's shooting at his best. Yeah. But, he'll still provide enough to where, you take him out of the game for the last 5 minutes and stuff, have Luka and Kyrie really orchestrating the offense, and Najee Marshall and PJ Washington on the wings regarding your best players, essentially. Yeah. I think that's why I'm really high on the Mavericks, because I think Jason Kidd is going to find ways to, disguise Klay's weaknesses at this point in his career.
Hopefully. I think he needs to take a look in the mirror and say it might be time to sacrifice.
That's the biggest thing. He needs to have an ego check, just like everybody else. Melo,
he needs
CP3.
To take a look in the mirror, take a page out of Richard Jefferson's book, who played with the Cavs, sacrificed a lot, but he was a big part of that championship team. Yes. Take a page out of fucking Al Horford's book. This motherfucker was an all-star in Atlanta, and he fucking sacrificed, molded his game around the team. He was a post-up player coming in, and now he's completely different. He's shooting threes now, he's still playing great defense. Like, take a page out of these guys' book. Like, you want to keep winning. That's really what's gonna end the shit around Klay Thompson's name. You sacrifice, and you show you could do other things that could contribute to your team winning, and you could get your team to that point. The talk is gonna be done, but. That's really why the talk around Klay is so bad, because he refuses to take that look in the mirror, and he thinks he's still that guy from back then, and it's hurting. Well, it hurted the Warriors last year, but the next team is, who the fuck was it? The Los Angeles Clippers.
Yes.
It's looking dark right now for the Clippers, bro. It's looking very dark. I want to go F.
Really?
It's bad, bro. It's bad.
I
mean, it's pretty bad. Like, maybe you guys could talk me into a nicer grade, but you let Paul George walk for nothing. Actually, let me start with this. I guess they go together. You let Paul George walk for nothing after you gave all that shit up for him. You gave up Shea and Gallinari, whatever, and you gave up all those picks for Paul George to pair him up with Kawhi Leonard. If you're going to make a move like that, you might as well fucking keep the guy. Because what the fuck is the point of that? You mortgaged your whole future for Paul George and Kawhi, and now you could extend him. And I know he talked about it on his pod. They offered him 2 years for 60. That was fucking crazy.
Yeah, I saw that.
But if you do all that and you're going all in, you have to do that same thing. I know it's probably gonna hurt the franchise, whatever, but why are you thinking about that now when you already made that move? You should have just kept it going. You rushed to give James Harden that extension easily. It was on the first day of free agency. I don't know why he didn't have. Was there not any other suitors around the league? Because they gave him that shit quick. They just threw that away. And then you got fucking, who do they got Derrick Jones Jr., who is a good pickup. If they kept Paul George and shit and they added him onto the team too, I would have liked this pickup a lot more. But now you're adding him when it's looking bad right now. And then you also added Kevin Porter Jr. He was out the league all of last season, I believe. But you signed that guy. I think they got Nick Batum back, but Josh Primo's still on the team. But bro, it's looking bad. And then Kawhi just left Olympic basketball, which is the right thing to do. And I said it last episode, bro. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't blame him if he fucking retired. Because why the fuck am I gonna come back to this team when I think the West has gotten a lot better? This team has gotten worse. You can say what you want about James Harden. He's still a good player. We know what he is come playoff time. He ain't the same guy, and this ain't Houston James Harden no more. But this team is literally it's really all on Kawhi now. That's really what it is. And even with Kawhi could play 82 games. They ain't going to no fucking conference finals. Because the way this team is right now, I just don't see it getting it done. And I like Ty Lue.
Finals.
They're not getting out the first round. They're not
first round.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
It's bad, bro.
Shit.
And I like Ty Lue as a coach, but you gonna need a fucking Bible next to you. If you trying to win, trying to win 47 games, motherfucker. You better pray, because I don't think it's gonna happen. To me, they're easily the team in the top 6 that is going to be out. They're moving down. And I don't know what way you could go, because they don't have any picks until 2030s probably.
I think so.
Yeah, and with Kawhi Leonard, this team is probably at most and that's the thing though. Kawhi he played 67 games this year. You know that motherfucker's good to miss 20 to 30 games a year.
Exactly.
He just had the healthiest year since 2019, and that season he played 60 games. So when he's not there, this team is probably an outside, you missed out on the play-in type of team. So I give them a fucking I'm giving them an F. I'm giving them an F.
Honestly, because I know he has a different grade. We'll see. I mean, this might be my quickest take because honestly, I have the same grade. I mean, I'm giving him an F.
They're
I'm
fucking
sorry.
garbage.
And no, honestly, like in all seriousness, Ty Lue is a great coach, and I actually feel bad for him. I don't think they're that bad. Like they're gonna be the worst team in the West.
Oh, yeah,
Can I see them sneaking into the play-in? Yes, but it's an F for me. As simple as because first of all, I'm sorry you did all the work you did to get Kawhi Leonard. I don't understand why you couldn't just give PG the fourth year. Like, what were you really gonna do at that point?
Yeah,
Is it like I just don't understand that you had Kawhi Leonard. Like, are you just gonna sit there and like Klay Thompson's not coming to you? Okay, and like, what were you really going to do that was going to make you that much better? And so, like, you signed Kawhi Leonard, so you're saying, oh, well, we don't want you making as much as Kawhi. So what are you gonna do? Okay, bye Kawhi. Yeah. Like, what's the whole point? So to me, the way I see it is, it's a complete F of an off season because, like, all you had to do was re-sign the guys that you have now. Yeah. Like, yes, I get it. They got out in the first round and whatnot. But I'm sorry, like, you already paid for this extremely expensive team that everybody told you not to pay for. Okay, yeah. You had Russell Westbrook there. And the fact that right after they lose Paul George, they're like, hey, you know what? We'll just re-sign James Harden. Yeah. We'll just bring him, like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's supposed to be like a compensation prize for Paul George. I just don't get it. I don't get the direction of this team. I don't get their trajectory. I think James Harden's just there because he saw the money and he probably loves. I mean, it's LA, great weather. I'm sure the way the women dress in the strip clubs, he probably loves that. So that's probably why he's the only reason why he's still there.
Ballmer definitely had a wink deal with him.
Where else was James Harden gonna go? I mean, I would say go back to Philly if he could make the. Because honestly, I still think he's a good fit there for that team. If he, was stubborn, not stubborn enough to not, take such high money and everything. All of this nonsense he's talking. Oh well, Daryl Morey didn't want to pay me. Well, yeah, we see why. I mean, sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror, right? So that's just my thing on the Clippers. I don't expect much out of them next year. I saw you on the last pod saying you're sleeping with the AC on. With the Philadelphia 76ers. Let me tell you something. When it comes to the Clippers, they're not even in my head. Like, I'm sleeping completely on them. I'm not worried about them at all. I'm just as worried about the Clippers as I am the Washington Wizards. I'm not saying they're as bad as that team. I'm just saying they don't concern me at all. They're irrelevant.
Yeah, with the Clippers, I chugged the
bottle of NyQuil. New arena, like... The arena has more to offer than the Clippers.
Oh yeah, I said it like a couple months back. I'm like, the only thing Clippers fans have to look forward to is a new arena and new uniforms. Yeah, that's really it. You couldn't sign and trade Paul George, or you couldn't trade him to get something back. Same thing with James Harden, because James Harden said, "I'm waiting on what Paul George does to make my decision." Yeah. And I'm like, they just took the worst possible route.
I want to see how Anthony defends a non-F for the Clippers.
Yeah, I was a lot nicer than you guys. I didn't give any teams an F. I gave them a C-. You lose Paul George for nothing. But Paul George was asking for a full max, 4 years, 200 whatever. Their game plan is 2 to 3 years, and that's it. They don't want to. They want to wipe their hands clean with this team, and probably go into a full rebuild. So I think they saved themselves from being into basketball mediocrity, like for 4 years with Paul George, especially if he wanted a no trade clause. I think that's what he was looking for as well. Trade clause. So I think they saved themselves. What they failed to do was a sign and trade. Like, they could have picked up something from Philly, so they didn't lose him for anything. That trade, Paul George for SGA, is going to go down as one of the biggest one-sided trade in NBA history.
Jordan's been saying that shit for years.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Like, PG was second in MVP voting. I get why he was worth that much, but what that turned out to and the failure of the Clippers it's gonna look bad, especially with him walking away.
And that's the success of the Thunder.
I can see why you guys gave them an F. The reason why I didn't give them an F, not even a D, is because I do think taking the ball away from Paul George puts more the ball in James Harden, which I think is a better fit with Kawhi than what Paul George was with Kawhi. So I think they might have a bigger ceiling regular season wise than what it was with Paul George. And then they did have some random pickups that could potentially work. Kevin Porter was out the league, but like I follow him. I don't know what the fuck happened with the battery case, but that guy can ball. Ask Victor. I used to pick him up in fantasy every fucking year. Yeah. And that guy was a baller. I jokingly named my team like Kai Jones last year.
Yeah, I remember that.
But the guy is a baller too.
I forgot they got Kai Jones. Yo, they're just giving motherfuckers second chances.
But if his mental awareness is there, that's a really good pickup. They needed like something like that at center. So I could see potential where it could be a really a good regular season team. I don't think top 6, but I think definitely play in. But the whole Paul George thing just really makes it look really bad. I think they saved themselves in the long run, but we're grading it right now, off season now. I don't think it's a good look for them. So I gave them a C-.
I'm reacting to the because the NBA just announced the in-season tournament groups and dates and stuff. And I'm looking at the Knicks group, and I'm like,
oh my God.
I think we could win our group, bro.
Who's in it?
Our group, we're in Group A for the East, and it's Knicks, Magic, Sixers, Nets, Hornets.
Yeah, we could win that.
I think we could win. Yeah. Last year, they had us with the Bucks and the fucking Heat.
Yeah. That's that was a tough.
I'm like, and the Group B is the Bucks, Pacers, Heat, Raptors, Pistons.
I think you're better than everyone.
It's really just us in Philly, I guess.
Yeah. And look, you guys are sleeping with the AC on with Philly.
He said that. I don't have that opinion.
You said you're sleeping with NyQuil with the Clippers doing anything. Look, I don't think they do shit this year. I'll put my whole life savings on it, but I do think they do make the play-in game. That's why I didn't give them an F. I still think they end up somehow in the playoffs.
I mean, there's like
Clippers? I think so.
I even said it during the regular season at one point. They're just like Philly to me. I'm like, I don't care what they do in the regular season. I'm always going to sleep on them. Because there has to be a point where we don't give a fuck about the regular season no more. It's playoff time. For some teams, we have to have that discussion for. Yeah. Especially with all the shit you traded and all the things you do. And then some of the superstars you have, the caliber of teams you have, and just not getting it done. I guess you could talk shit to me saying I'm a Knicks fan, whatever, and say, oh, you should have that conversation with your team. But I'm like, my team has been bad for a long time, and now we're finally starting to see the lighter side. And I do see that there's pressure now. And but there's a lot of teams that, like the Clippers, for example, we can't be going into the next season being like, oh yeah, they made the play-in. It was a good season. Nah, fuck that. They mortgaged their whole future to win a championship, and they failed. And nothing's gonna matter for that team until playoff time, and that's how it's gonna be. And that's the same
if there's playoff time.
Yeah, if there's playoff time, and that's the same feeling I have towards the Sixers. You just been doing all these moves around Joel Embiid, and time after time, there's always pointing the finger at somebody else. But my thing is, when are we gonna point the finger at Joel Embiid? Because there's always.
I think respectfully, I think we have done that many, many times. I think, with him being injured, and I think people just, I remember the series that, when they lost to Toronto and they played 7 games. That was a very up and down series for him.
It was.
And he was coming off injury as usual. I think it was game 1 or 2. He played horrible, and then the next game, he showed you why he's, respect to Jimmy Butler, why he was the best player on that team. I think the 76ers, my personal opinion with them, and why I'm not sleeping with the AC on is I think them, just like any other team, as long as they're healthy, like I remember, like I heard you saying, and I understand your point, like when you said, "Oh, what do you call? I don't want to hear that Joel Embiid is the best player in the series." I think that matters. That doesn't mean like, look, we beat them last year and he was the best player in the series as well. But like my personal opinion, again, and I hate to say the truth, it's not always one person's fault either. Like everything, look, and I don't want to get in like a whole tangent with this, but playoffs in general, if you really think about it, okay, only one team is gonna win, only two teams are gonna make it to the finals. So every year you're gonna have teams that, if they're not making it to the conference finals every year, are we gonna say that they're a failure of a roster, all of that sort? I just think every year it's different circumstances. I mean, look at what happened with the Bucks. They went from going to the finals to getting out in the first round two of the last 3 years mainly because Giannis has been injured and missing time. So that's how I feel with the Sixers. Like if they come in and we're playing them in the second round, let's just say, okay, assuming that they're healthy most of the year and us, them, Philly and Boston, Boston and Milwaukee are the top four seeds, and when we play them in the second round, I wouldn't, and they're fully healthy. I'm not gonna sleep on them. I'm not gonna say I'd be so scared of them because we've beaten that team before. I know they've gone if you want me to be honest, my the number one offseason for me has to be the 76ers, not just because they got like six new players. Eric Gordon's really good. Caleb Martin, keeping Kelly Oubre. Yeah, Eric Gordon's old, but he's still a productive player. You can't leave him wide open. So I think they're a team like, if Joel Embiid, which in my personal opinion, and I know, a lot of my friends probably wouldn't want to hear me say it. I know, you can call him a free throw merchant, dirty player. All of that stuff is fair. I'm trying to take all of that out. Strictly just basketball, you can make the argument he's the best player in the East. My personal opinion, I think, overall, both sides, I know he thinks it's Giannis. I think it's very close, and I respect that. I just think it's Joel Embiid, the best player in the East, and I think because of that, the Knicks, if we're not, fully loaded, 1 through, I would say 8, and, we don't have, especially a good center rotation to guard Embiid, I'm not going to sleep with the AC on. I'll tell you that. I still think we could win, but it would be a very difficult task if they're healthy.
I want to save my piece because we got to get to the East. Yeah. So I'll save it for when we get over there.
Yeah.
But next team is the Minnesota Timberwolves at 3 seed. They're another team where the offseason is more specifically the draft, adding Rob Dillingham, getting Terrence Shannon Jr. I like those pickups for them. Rob Dillingham, who they're gonna get off the bench to learn under Mike Conley and be that dynamic scorer next to Anthony Edwards to grow in the future, and taking a chance on Terrence Shannon Jr., who you and I we thought this guy's a lottery talent, but unfortunately the off the court shit dropped his stock, but that's a steal. And one of the main issues with Terrence Shannon, like one of his draft flaws was his age. He's coming into the league as a 23-year-old rookie, but this is a guy who's been through the fire. He's played in a lot of big games, had good games in the tournament, but just taking a flyer on those two guys with good upside. I like what they're doing, and just another year with this team building continuity. That's another good thing for them. I think losing Kyle Anderson kind of hurts, but we saw in the playoffs they were leaving him wide open. So I guess it's kind of addition by subtraction with them, because there was a lot of times where they just let him shoot, and they can't have those holes. And another year of Anthony Edwards growing. This is a team that could benefit just off of internal growth, because the shit that Anthony Edwards was doing at 22 years old was crazy. I think he's the best shooting guard in the league, and he's about to be 23 years old. and the two-way play with him and the tandem with him and McDaniels is a fucking nightmare. Rudy Gobert showed again that he can anchor a fucking top defense in the league, despite what everybody says about him. He's still like that. And Karl Anthony Towns, I buy that he's been showing that like he knows this is Anthony Edwards' team, and he knows the strides he has to take to complement him. And I think he showed that. They don't win that Denver series without him. He showed up. He was the one that showed up in Game 7. Not saying that Anthony Edwards played bad. He had his moments down the stretch, but it was Karl Anthony Towns in that game that he kind of pulled the weight when Ant was struggling. And I think they need him as much as they talk shit about him and stuff. He just has to get out of his own way with the stupid fouls, jacking up threes when he's already 0 for 4, and
his IQ.
Yeah, his IQ.
That's what it is.
But they need him, and it all started with him. So they need him there. And I like what they've done, adding the rookies. And I just think they're going to get another great, well, probably an even better season from Anthony Edwards. And I think they'll be even better too, because Cat missed a big chunk of time. And people forget that. And they were the 3 seed. They were the number 1 seed for a lot of the season. So I think they'll be fine. I'm giving them an A- off season.
Yeah, I was a little bit harsher. Not too much.
It's like we went the opposite. I would be harsh. You'd be nice. I would be nice. It would be harsh.
I gave him a B+. I like the Rob.
It's not harsh.
A little bit. I like the pickup. I like that trade. I'm still questioning why San Antonio did it, to be honest. I get, they want to be bad next year, I think, to try to get their hands on Cooper Flag. That's what I was thinking. That was my only.
We talked about this last episode.
Victor Wembanyama does not want to be on a bad team.
I think they want one more year of the lottery and then just go full-fledged, just be a learning season. That was my idea. If it wasn't, it was a terrible trade because that guy could ball. That guy is a fucking microwave. You put him off the bench, where they needed sometimes some bench scoring, the guy's going to fucking pop off. I wouldn't be surprised if he's averaging double digits in points in his rookie year off the bench in like 20 minutes a game. He's just that good, even coming in as a rookie. I like the Terrence Shannon pickup. It was a flyer because of the situation. I'm glad, it's like behind them. But that could be an underrated pickup and a nice piece. I'm a huge fan of Jordan McDaniels. He's a do-it-all wing.
Oh, Jaden.
Jaden McDaniel. It's like 6'9", lanky, can defend on ball, can help, has a shot. He can actually put up points too. I think he outscored KD in one game, in the playoffs, which is nuts. But I think he was great. Victor knows how much of a hater I am of Karl Anthony Towns. I think.
Yeah.
Skill set, he's probably the most skilled big other than Embiid and Jokic, I would say, like a center type guy where you just have a finesse to your shot, your passing. Like people also sleep on his passing game.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just the mentality with him, the IQ, and a little bit, I don't know, the softness, from him that I don't know. For me personally, I get why they want to run it back to see how this works, but I don't think that's a championship team with Cat. I do disagree that they do need him. I think Naz Reid showed 100% how he can step in.
I didn't even mention Naz Reid.
Just put up the same amount of shots. He has a finesse to him too, and
big jelly.
And he can space the floor. He can go back to the basket if you need him to play center, just like Cat as well. He was a way cheaper option, and I think you could have, traded Cat for like a point guard or something. But they got it in Rob, so that's why I'm not criticizing them on that. That's also why I'm not giving them an A as well. I think there was potential for that. I get why they wanted to keep the continuity there. They saw how successful they were with this squad. And like you said, I left the best for last. And Edwards, That's my guy. I've been saying that from the very beginning. I told this kid before the season, I was like, I'm going to tell you one thing. I know he's a Devin Booker fan. I'm like, Anthony Edwards is the best shooting guard in the NBA. I said that before the season started, and he had this well of a season. Took them pretty much, I think them, Denver, and OKC should be tied for like first place because they were all like a game apart. And they were all interchanging.
It came down to the last game of the season, regular season.
It was circling. One week, one team was the first seed. Another week, the other one was. It just kept circling. And a lot of that was Anthony Edwards.
And I think they had it the longest, too.
They did. Karl Anthony Towns was out for a while, so a lot of that was Ant Edwards. And the biggest thing, I love, like, someone that has that dog mentality that's just going to give it their all and just is a winner. They want to win the game. You could see games where Anthony Edwards had, I don't think it was single digits, but like 12 points, 14 points. And the motherfucker had 3 steals and 4 blocks, like as a shooting guard. Yeah. The guy, he plays hard. Probably top 5 player, favorite of mine in the league. And I'll end it with a B+ with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when been going for some time, when we get to the East, you want to just do like the 4 teams I mentioned? Is there like they're probably gonna be the top teams?
Yeah, because the I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna rush through those like the Hawks, the fucking Bulls.
Yeah, we could do a quick grade for each one. Yeah, I'll
probably talk a little bit
with shit in the fucking East.
Yeah, there are a lot of teams, but what do you call for the Timberwolves? Honestly, I'd probably give them an A or an A-. I really like their offseason a lot. I think for a team that was just in the conference finals, I think, I know they didn't make the conference finals, but I feel like what they just did was kind of, I feel like the Clippers should have taken a page out of that. I feel like if Jerry West, rest in peace, was, still alive and with the team, I think things would have been handled a lot differently. But with Minnesota, obviously, I mean, we talked about the draft picks already. Love Rob Dillingham coming out of Kentucky, arguably the best guard in this draft. I know it's debatable with another pick that I really like, which is OKC getting Nikola Topic. But with Rob Dillingham, I really like him. Good 3-point shooter, of course, but, very fast and quick. Could slash, get to the lane. Could be a good 6-man for them until, he develops into a starter and succeeds Mike Conley. But yeah, I honestly like what they did. They provided more scoring for Terrence Shannon. I think Anthony knows how much I watch the Timberwolves. Probably one of the teams I watch most outside of the Knicks, at least in the last 2 years. But, the games I watched, the thing that I would notice that was missing the most is the, scoring on the bench. And I think, I know Summer League is only Summer League, but we saw Terrence Shannon today dropping 25 points. I think he's a guy that's going to come off their bench and provide a lot of scoring for them. When it comes to not needing Karl Anthony Towns, I think that's very tricky. I think the frustrating thing with Karl Anthony Towns, and, Shaq says it all the time too, he'll have all these mismatches on him and he still wants to go and step back and shoot a 3.
Yeah. And
it's like, dude, if you have somebody my size, I'm 5'5". If you have somebody my size on you, I'm exaggerating, of course. You get the point. Like, dude, that's easy money buckets for you. And, he talked about, Karl Anthony Towns being up there with skills with Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Yeah, he is. He is arguably, if not, he might be in terms of, skills, just as good, if not a little better than them at certain skills. Honestly, great shooter. For a big man, has a really nice jump shot. I mean, think about a lot of big guys, their jumpers, especially with, their massive hands. It's really not, Karl's got a great follow through. I mean, the self-proclaimed best big shooting, big man shooter of all time. I think Dirk Nowitzki, but still, Karl Anthony Towns. If they use Karl Anthony Towns to his full skill, to his full ability, if he, like was in the paint just a little bit more, you know, like I honestly do think that they would win the championship. Like the way that they play basketball, I have to give Tim Connolly, who also helped build, get the Nuggets to where they are right now. He obviously knows how to build teams. He obviously knows how to draft, and he really knows what he's doing with this team. And I really, really like it. Carl is out of everybody the one that frustrates me the most, even though obviously, I mean, he's from not too far from where I'm from and everything. I met his parents and all of that stuff. Like, he still frustrates me because I feel like he can do a lot more. And, like, I know this is going to sound absolutely insane. And Anthony Edwards is their best player, and that's not going to change. But I feel like if Karl Anthony Towns really wanted to, he might not be their best player, but he can easily be their number one option. I mean, in terms of scoring, like I said, how many big guys are, as good at 3-level scores as him and as efficient doing it. So that's my thing. I give him an A. But I just, I want this team to go to the final so badly. They're a fun team. Everybody was like killing them when they made that trade for Rudy Gobert. And the number one thing I kept saying was Anthony Edwards is a baby. He is a kid. He is still a kid. Okay. All of those picks, like they got another 5, 6, especially with Rob Dillingham in there, getting Jaden McDaniels locked up. I think Karl Towns is the perfect age for them. And you know what? Maybe if it doesn't work out in the future or in the next 2 years, he's got the perfect contract to where, trust me, I know a lot of teams, including probably the Knicks, would, love to have Karl Anthony Towns where they can get assets. So it's an A for me, and I think the Timberwolves are on the right direction. So
I'm good on Towns on the Knicks. I'm good.
Yeah. We don't need
on him. We don't need Bulls or any other team.
Nah, yeah. Next team, the Denver Nuggets. This team, I'm gonna give them a C minus.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt because the reason they weren't able to do so much is because they got fucked by the second apron. So they weren't allowed to keep a lot of their guys. They lost Bruce Brown last year. They just lost KCP this offseason. So they're losing these guys for nothing. And the only additions they've made this year is Deron Holmes, who they drafted, and which is a good pickup because you get a backup center behind Jokic, and because they had DeAndre Jordan, if I wasn't mistaken, and DeAndre Jordan, he's old as shit. He don't really play like that. He's a good backup option. I really wanted the Knicks to get him, but that's a good pickup for them. And they also signed Dario Saric, who I think that's a good pickup for him too, because Dario Saric has played for multiple teams with a lot of talent, and he's able to carve out a role for himself and add stuff to that team, whether it's shooting, rebounding, and just being another spacer on the team. I think that's a good pickup for them. I guess, for what they've been able to do with the options they have, I'll move it up to C, because the second apron kind of fucked them because you're paying Jokic, Murray, they're paying MPJ a shit ton of money. Yeah. They're paying Aaron Gordon. So next year they're really banking on Christian Brown taking a step, Peyton Watson taking a step, Julian Strawther taking a step. So we're gonna see if they're up for the test. But as long as you have Nikola Jokic, you're gonna be a top team in the league. And I have all the faith in the world in him because this motherfucker led Facundo Campazzo and Austin Rivers to the playoffs and actually won a playoff series with those guys. So you got Jamal Murray and MPJ and Aaron Gordon. Hopefully they're all healthy. That team is going to be, like, at worst, the 4th seed if everyone's healthy.
Yeah, I gave them a C+. I didn't think they really did much. They lost KCP. Underrated player. Great 3-and-D player. But I also do think I'm a big fan of that Christian Braun guy. Played a lot of minutes on that championship run. And even off the bench last year, like he was a solid player. He was a great hustle player, and the type of player you need around like a superstar like Jokic and even like Murray, a star level player. So I do think he is going to be a great replacement for KCP. MPJ, I've never been too much of a fan of, but they still have him. Aaron Gordon, great hustle player, great fit around Jokic. I don't really have much for them because they didn't really do much.
Yeah, they didn't really do shit. They're the
champ. They're a former champ. They still pretty much have that same core except for that one guy, but and also Reggie Jackson too. Reggie Jackson was a decent player and they lost him. He was a great guy for that
shit didn't hurt them that much though.
If anything, it might help them.
Yeah.
He was a solid player from that championship run. But look, I gave him a C+. I didn't have much for them because they didn't really do shit. So
yeah.
Still got Jokic though.
Yeah.
I'll probably give them like a B+ because my personal thing is I really, I don't think there was much for them to do other than re-sign KCP, which they could have done. So that's what's like stopped me from, I guess, like kind of really giving them an A. I like Christian Braun. I thought Reggie Jackson was not good for them. I thought they needed to get rid of him. So, I kind of, I guess, like help boost the grade a little bit. But other than that, like you guys said, like I'm not really that concerned about the Nuggets. I don't really think they lost all. Like I'm not trying to disrespect KCP. He is really good, and very valuable. But I just don't think they really, lost that much. What do you call Payne Watson? I think if he can. He was like a 30% 3-point shooter. I think he just has to get that up a little bit. Julian Strawther, I haven't seen too much of him. I just know he's like, he's the few I've seen from him, he can score a little bit and stuff. He adds to their depth, but other than that, I'm really not concerned about them. The only thing I hope they can add, because I think more so for his sake, I hope they could add Russell Westbrook. I think that'd be really good for him. And I think they kind of need that, one player that can, kind of be all over the court, especially on defense.
I would defense.
And be like disruptive for them and stuff.
Motherfucker play no defense.
Yeah, like that's that if they
tries.
Yeah,
I've never seen some guy. I've never seen someone get backdoored so much more than him, bro. It's crazy. And with the athleticism that motherfucker had, I'm like, you should be all NBA.
Well, who are we talking about?
Westbrook.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you should be a defensive team like every other year.
I think going to the Nuggets though, like with Jamal Murray, because like, especially with James Harden, like he's obviously out of his prime now, and I think if he had a point guard like Jamal Murray, who is like specifically a scoring point guard who can kind of like shoot all over the floor and stuff, I think that'd help him out a lot, especially since he's a true, real point guard. Like, it could, at this point in his career, I know he wouldn't want to hear it, but I feel like the more you keep the ball in Russ's hands, I kind of feel like it's hurting the team as a whole. Yeah. So I feel like he kind of has to adjust to a role. He kind of has to be like, I know what you're going to say.
Caruso.
Kind of.
I was going to say that.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of like Alex Caruso. I was going to say, as crazy as it sounds, kind of like Luka Doncic because he plays point guard, but he's not a point guard. He's more like you have Kyrie Irving, but that example, Alex Caruso, is way better.
No, I was going to say something that people might find offensive.
What?
If he goes to the Nuggets, he has to play the Christian Brown role from Christian Brown's rookie year. He needs to play that role.
Yeah,
you're not going to close.
And I don't think he's not going to be better than Christian Braun playing Christian Braun.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm saying, but like, you know what I'm trying to say, because Christian Brown is most likely going to start next year.
Yeah,
the way it's looking. Russell Westbrook just needs to come in and be Christian Brown, basically.
like how he was
his rookie year.
You're probably not gonna
close, but you're gonna come in, give energy.
That spark off the bench.
Just be that. I like the idea. I think Jokic said get it done. I don't know if that was real or not, but
with a team like the Nuggets,
I think
to get Westbrook.
Yeah, he said that, but I don't know if it was true or not. Because I'm like, really, Jokic said that?
I never heard Jokic request anything.
Exactly, exactly. That's why. But that would be a good move for them.
Horses.
And last team for the West, OKC Thunder. This is quick. A+. You got rid of P Giddy. You got Alex Caruso. You got Alex Caruso for free. And you overpaid a little bit for Hartenstein, but it don't matter. You got him. You added to the depth. You have someone to play next to Chet Holmgren. And then you drafted Nikola Topic. He fell to you because of the injuries. And now you have another year where he's not even going to play. And now you get to just like ease him in to this team. But this is an A for me. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a quick one for me. A+. Exactly what you said. I'm just gonna add they're my finals pick. I don't know, how Sam Presti finessed it. Young core that's playing, championship level. Now you add 2 big role players. That's an A+ finals pick for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the West is really deep right now, so I don't have a finals pick, but I expect them to make it to the conference finals at the very least. I'm on board with everybody else. I think we all, noticed they had arguably the best offseason. I give them an A+. I think the funniest thing was Pete Giddy watching the last episode. I was dying. I literally, tears were coming out of my eyes listening to COVID 13. COVID 13. For Paul George, but God. Even more, I think Jordan was the one that said "way off P."
Way off P. That's a good
one. Way off P. Oh, I never even thought of that.
Funniest thing is he gave himself his own name.
But there's really nothing to say that you guys didn't say. So
I'm gonna say one more thing. Hey. Sorry. SGA is my MVP pick as well. I have him down for MVP.
Yeah. I don't want to pick him just because I feel like that's going to be the overwhelming pick. But yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'm probably when we do our awards prediction episodes, I probably won't pick him just because everyone's going to pick him.
Yeah.
But, I think he's going to be he's going to be the MVP.
I think he'll be a top candidate. I don't know if I'll guarantee it. He's obviously going to be a top candidate. I don't know if I'll guarantee it, but yeah, OKC, I said the Kings, OKC, Kings, and probably Minnesota will be the 3 teams I watch the most from the West.
Moving on to the East, probably be pretty rapid until we get to the 7th team. Atlanta Hawks, pretty quick. This probably, I don't want to say F. I'll probably say D. Trade DeJounte Murray for... You get Dyson Daniels back. Did they get Larry Nance back in that too? Or
Larry Nance, yeah.
Good players, but actually D, because I'm gonna say this. You're they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You gotta pick a side. You have Trae Young there, move on. Because if they decide to move on, the grade will be a lot higher. You establish that you want to be a rebuilding team, and you get picks, whatever.
It's giving me Portland Damian Lillard vibes.
Yeah, but keeping Trae Young on this team, I don't like it. You're not gonna make you didn't even make the playoffs with DeJounte Murray, and now you're taking him out. I know Jalen Johnson had a big year. We'll see where Clint Capella goes. Hopefully Onyeka plays. They just drafted Zachary Risichet. But I would like to see them just blow it all up and rebuild. That's the way to go. If they continue with Trae Young on this team, this is probably an F. Possibly an F. But I'm going to give them a D for now. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe moves happen. But they should just look to rebuild. But I'm going to give them a D.
Yeah, I gave him a C. I actually strongly disagree. I don't think it's a Damian Lillard situation and Portland trying to rebuild, trying to contend at the same time. Damian Lillard was like 31, 32 years old in Portland.
True.
And they were drafting fucking 19 year olds.
Yeah.
Trae Young is 24.
Yeah.
You know, 25. So 25.
He should be 25, yeah.
So I still see potential for them to still collect these young players and grow with him. Is that going to piss him off? Probably. But if he remains patient, he can have, like, he's not going to do shit anywhere else, I think. I don't think he's a good fit really anywhere else.
Orlando could use him.
True. I think Anthony Simons ends up there, to be honest.
I would love that. I said that last episode.
I think think that's a good fit. And I actually don't want to take the ball away from Paolo and Franz Wagner. I think Trae Young takes it away. So, like, I don't really see him, you know, fitting in where he's the main ball handler and you have a shit ton of defenders, lanky players, long player that can shoot the ball, can stretch the floor, can cover up for his defensive fuck-ups. I think this is actually the best team that they've built around him. They're just very young. And if he's patient, this can actually end up paying off in like 3 or 4 years when he's hitting, you know, his prime or in the middle of it, like, and he can have an actual championship contender for years after that. Does he want to do that? That's a big question. They pick up Zachary Richier. I think that was an overrated pick. I'm not that big of a fan of him. I don't think he's the number one pick, but he's long. He plays defense. He hits three. That's perfect for Atlanta, so they picked it. You got Jalen Johnson, who is a secondary playmaker, long, lanky, can make threes, great rebounder. I like, what's his name? The short center.
Onyeka.
Onyeka. Okanya. Whatever the fucking name is. I'm a big fan of him. Clint Capella goes. I think it's a C for now with potential to be, way higher. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd probably give him a C range only because, like, I'm still confused. I don't know if they want to keep Trae Young because, you know, I feel like 25 is an age where, you know, you're probably not even really in your prime yet. You could be, but especially for a player like Trae Young, you know, this isn't, Derrick Rose we're talking about here where, you know, you're jumping out the building and stuff. Like, you know, I think he can be a useful and productive player into his 30s. So I don't know if it's a situation where you have to trade Trae Young. So, you know, I'm just like a little bit confused by it. I do agree with Anthony with Zachary Richier. I wouldn't say I don't like him. I just don't think he was worth the number one overall pick. I think they're more like, you know, that was another confusing one. I don't know if they drafted him because they thought he was the best fit or, you know, they feel like he can be, you know, a star in the future in the long run. Because if that's the case, then, you know, maybe you should think about moving on from Trae Young. So there's just a lot of confusion there for me. Outside of that, honestly, the more I think about it, I kind of want to give them a lower grade because I don't like the return that they got for DeJounte Murray. That's just me. I felt like they could have gotten other picks, and I do like DeJounte on the Pelicans more than I like him on the team I'm about to mention, which I know sounds crazy. But I feel like if they would have sent him to the Spurs, they probably would have gotten more back, probably a few of the picks that they lost to get him.
Yeah, they traded, 3 firsts to get him?
Yeah. So I think they probably would have gotten some of the picks back that they did to get the DeJounte Murray in the first place, which honestly, I have to be honest, I hated that trade, and I knew it wasn't going to work out. I thought it was a terrible fit.
Should have gone to the Knicks
before they got Brunson. That entire experience to me was basically De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton.
You know what's crazy
all over again
about that? I remember that summer because
that's all I have to say about the Hawks.
I remember that summer because we had just gotten Brunson and all the rumors with DeJounte was going on, and then we saw what they got, and people were like, "Do you think the Knicks should have jumped in?" At that time, this was before Brunson took off and whatever. I was like, I'm happy with Brunson, bro. Like I was not trying to give him 3 picks.
I think Tom Thibodeau would hate Trae Young.
No, I'm talking about DeJounte.
When DeJounte, before he went to Atlanta, there was talks about him going to the Knicks. I thought he would have been a great fit there.
He probably would have been a great fit. It's just that asking price was a little too much. And I'm like, I think I'm cool with Brunson for now.
Came off like almost averaging triple-double, all-star game. Like that was the price tag.
Next team, Chicago Bulls. Lost Caruso for nothing, basically. They added Chris Duarte. Who else did you guys get back from the DeRozan shit?
2 seconds.
I want to say F, but actually, you still have Zach LaVine stuck there, and is he gonna probably play to start the season, right? I mean, this is another situation where it's like, I would love to give him a higher grade because it's like, finally, you guys are deciding to be bad. You're gonna try to go for Cooper Flag, and maybe with all this torment now, you guys might get lucky and be rewarded with that. But I'm gonna go D. Just It's looking very bad right now. I think once Zach LaVine gets traded, it'll probably move up a lot. Especially, I mean, it's hard to even say that too, because what you got back for Caruso and DeRozan is still didn't get much back. So I'm gonna go D-.
So we go next to the Bulls side.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I've been a Bulls fan my whole life. Watched different eras. Obviously, my favorite, at least my lifetime, was the D-Rose.
Hell yeah.
Youngest MVP. Shout out to D-Rose. That guy's nice, but
shout out to Derrick Rose. Nice.
It's just really disappointing to see what the team, became. We already talked about the trades. The only reason why I'm giving them a D+ and not an F or a D or D- is because they're finally going into a rebuild, what I'm thinking, by trading away DeRozan and Caruso, who are winning players, so we can get into the capture the flag race. So that's all I'm going to say. Pray for us. Pray for me. I'm probably not going to watch many games, to be honest. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, honestly, I don't know if I'll say that. I'm not going to watch many games. I think the issue with the Bulls is obviously, first of all, their off-season to me is, I'd probably give it like a D. There's a couple reasons I'll get into why it's not an F. But honestly, the elephant in the room is, not being able to trade Zach LaVine and stalling to a point. I mean, there's several destinations, at least I know of, that they could have traded him to, specifically Sacramento and especially Golden State. Several times they could have sent him to Golden State. And I believe Charlotte as well. I'm not entirely sure on that. But anyway, they didn't. Now they're going to have to put in a first-round pick just to trade a guy that's making $40 million. But the thing that the Bulls did that I like are obviously, drafting Montes Buzelis, who's the hometown kid and whatnot. And honestly, probably would have been a top 5 pick, but had a very, the G League right now, and you see it with Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson, like the first half of the season, had the worst plus minus in the NBA, but then picked it up later, which, he's might be my favorite player from that draft, one of them. So
Year 2 Scoot is coming.
Yeah. For real. So I'm glad that he was able to, clean that up, essentially. But, Montes Buzelis, I think he's another one where he'll struggle in his first year as well. But I think eventually, he loves the game. He's a guy, I think the Bulls are going to like drafting. And honestly, I know me and Anthony feel differently about this. But with the NBA's economy, especially the deal that they just signed for $76 billion, I actually really like the Patrick Williams deal. I said to Anthony, though, I will only like it if they trade DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, of course, to where they can have Patrick Williams out there playing minutes now. When they look in the camera, he is not Kawhi Leonard, no. But every time I watch him play, he plays exactly. He moves just like him. He moves, he plays just like him. I can see him being a guy that can get up to maybe like 17, 18 points per game. And actually being where, like, that contract, if he could average 18, 19 points per game and, be, because he's still a really good defensive player. I can't take that from him. But if he can do that, I think that contract is a complete steal. And maybe, if the Bulls, depending on their direction, they can probably get a lot of assets for something like that. So to me, those are really the only positive things. Other than that, I'm with Anthony. Just pray for the Bulls.
Yeah, I think the brightest part of the Bulls offseason was drafting Modest Buzelis.
Yeah.
Especially where they got him. They got him at 11.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who...
I was surprised he fell that long.
Every mock had this guy going like top 7. Yeah. So to get him at 11, that's great value. That would
have been a great... And I like Ron Holland, but that would have been a great project for Detroit.
Yeah.
They need somebody like that with length that could... because, again, I like Holland, but, like, Buzelis can kind of score all over the floor.
They have Asar Thompson. They have Asar Thompson. I like Asar Thompson.
I think they're banking on...
I do, too, but I think...
Yeah, with Holland, I think they're just banking on upside.
Yeah.
Because, But next team is the Miami Heat. And this team is another team that also did not have a great offseason. They lost a lot of people as well. I'm looking for the transaction report. But they extended Bam Adebayo. Did they extend? They didn't extend Jimmy, right?
No.
They didn't. No. They extended Kevin Love. These are all the people. They lost Thomas Bryant re-signed. They signed Alec Burks. And that's pretty much it.
They lost Delon Wright.
They lost DeLon Wright. Yeah. They lost Caleb Martin.
Caleb Martin.
Yeah, it's bad right now, bro. I'm gonna give them a D-.
Damn.
Yeah, it's I do like Khalil Ware, the rookie. He just had a fucking great game the other day. I don't know what their plan is with him off rip. Are they gonna start him or is he gonna come off the bench and learn under Bam? But bro, I do not like their offseason, especially with how much the top of the East how much better it's gotten, and they've just kind of stood pat. I don't like the direction they're going. Jimmy Butler, there's a lot of questions on whether he's going to be there or not still. And he's also getting older. He's going to be, I think, 35 by the time this new season starts.
Yeah.
And he's somebody who deals with injuries every year. My brother's a Heat fan. He said he's tired of Tyler Hero. He's ready for him to be gone. But nobody wants him, bro. Every trade package is the same. Every time somebody's available, they always say, oh, he's going to the Heat, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they don't have the package. Their package is Tyler Hero and a first, or Tyler Hero, 2 firsts. Nobody wants that shit. Obviously, they got Jaime Jaquez. He was one of the best rookies last year. He's going to be there again, and he'll have another great season. Bam Adebayo, who's probably a top 3 defensive player in this league. Bringing him back is probably a plus. But yeah, I just don't like the direction, because this just tells me, and I hate it because Heat fans get on my ass because I'm telling them to their face that you guys, by doing nothing and being content with where you're at, you're putting a cap on this team. That you guys are dead as a solidified playing team with the way that the Eastern Conference is shaping up right now. You guys are a certified playing team. And you guys are, and it's stamped because the teams under you are bad enough where they probably won't even be, like, they won't take your spot. But the teams above you are better than you, that you probably won't surpass them. So you guys are pretty much stamped at like 7, 8 seed. And I'll probably go as far as to say like 8. But yeah, I didn't like their offseason at all. I'll give them a D flat.
Yeah, I was a little nicer. I gave him a C-. Extending Bam was important. Just to keep him along, for the full ride, whatever direction they want to go. That's their most important player, I think. Top 3 defender for sure. I always thought he should have won at least one Defensive Player of the Year. It's the most interchangeable center I think there is in the whole league. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy Butler. I feel like he's gonna get traded, which I don't know if he's gonna send the team to even more mediocrity or a rebuild, which I don't know if that'll affect Bam's position. They didn't really pick up much. Alex Burks was a decent pickup. I saw that last Knicks game, when they were eliminated. I know Jalen Brunson fractured his hand, but, in like 12 minutes, Alex Burke had like 20 points, and that's like something that, the Heat team knows how to milk in the perfect scenario. So I do think, they do end up being like a playing team. I think, there's always potential for them to just have a random run. You got to think about it. In the past 4 years, they made 2 finals and 3 conference finals. That's pretty fucking, impressive for, like a playing level team. I think Tyler Hero is young. He screws up a lot. He still has potential. I actually do like him. I just think the IQ is not there. If he can mature a little bit, and maybe have the right fit next to him, maybe whatever they trade for Jimmy, call it like Memphis, and he gets like a Marcus Smart next to him, like, just to like take a little bit of pressure off of him, playmaking and defensive. Like, he has potential to have that big jump, but I don't think it's a failure of a season. I don't think it's like D level, because I think they still end up being the playing team, and I still think, like, trust me, like I don't know how the Heat can get to the second round with those top 4 teams there, but I would not be surprised if they end up in the second round.
Yeah. Well, I do. I think I said to both of you guys, I think if the Heat were to trade Jimmy, I do like him going to the Grizzlies a lot. I think that's the perfect fit for him. But if they would have re-signed Jimmy Butler, I probably would have given this an F, to be honest. But I'll give them a D, maybe D minus. I might be a little biased. I am a little bit of a Heat hater. I can't lie. He knows that. What do you call? I just think this, sentiment of, oh my God, Heat culture and everything. But like, what have you, really done? I mean, I respect the finals runs and stuff, but Heat culture this, Heat culture that. You haven't done anything. You've lost more people than I can count at this point. Including Kyle Lowry, including him too. Okay, and Caleb Martin, all of these guys. So, to me personally, I don't think the Heat really improved much. I was very and me and you talked about. Hopefully, Kiel Ware would have slipped. Would have slipped, and the Knicks would have gotten him. I have no idea why the Heat got him when they already have Bam Adebayo, and Ware is going to demand. He's a good player. He's going to demand minutes. So especially after you just re-sign Bam Adebayo, which is a good decision, but to do that, right? Like what was the point of drafting Ware? To me, that's the way I see it. I mean, you could say, oh yeah, well Bam is out, but if that's the case, just sign a center. You're the Heat. I mean, I don't think outside of LA, maybe outside of the taxes, maybe a couple of the Texas state. I don't think there's a place outside of Miami anybody would want to sign to. I mean, Damian Lillard, that was the he got up and that was all he was thinking about was, I want to go to Miami, this and the third. So the fact that in the last 2-3 years, first honestly, I'm sorry, fuck that. The fact that since Jimmy Butler has been there, they haven't gotten any big free. All of that talk. That's why I don't like, and I didn't want to go on a rant. That's why I told him I'm just not a Heat. I'm a hater on the Heat. All that talk that they do of, oh, Heat culture this, Heat culture that. What have you done? What have you gotten? You've missed out on every single star. From Damian Lillard to Donovan Mitchell. I mean, you can't even get Jonas Valanciunas and Gary Trent for crying out loud. You know, we're all making fun of the Lakers. How about we make fun of the Heat? Seriously. You know, they're only getting worse to me. I'm sorry. I don't see them getting any better. Pat Riley's supposed to be, you know, the GOAT of a kind. Pat Riley, I liked him, and, you know, I respect, you know, what he did for the Knicks and everything. But still, I mean, I don't know. For all that talk that they do, they haven't lived up to anything. So I'm going to give their offseason a D-.
Well said. Next team, the Indiana Pacers. I'm gonna go ahead and give them a B. I like what they did. They extended Pascal Siakam after trading for him mid-season. So they brought him back. He was a big part of what they did in the playoffs. They also re-signed Obi Toppin, who had I don't want to say a resurgence, but this was like, I think we all knew him going to the Pacers. This was like the perfect team for him. And at times in that Knicks series, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker Obi don't miss. And like, he brought another energy to this team, especially in the first half of the season when he was starting, getting all those lobs in transition. And then he actually accepted his role well when Pascal came in and he was asked to come off the bench. He performed very well coming off the bench for them, and he provided a spark off the bench. And then I think also people forget that they didn't have Benedict Mathurin for the entire playoff run, and they're gonna get him back, and we'll see what happens.
Favorite player.
We'll see what happens, but I think Benedict Mathurin is I think he's fucking like that, bro. Yes. I think I'm not going. It might be crazy, but I think he could be like potentially their first or second best player on that team. He could probably be their first option.
First?
Yeah.
Over Tyrese?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't know about over Tyrese.
I think so.
But
I just it's just because watching the playoffs, and then I started watching his game a lot, especially in college. It's just like he has like all this shit, like the three-way scoring ability, the defense. Well, the defense was lackluster on that team regardless, and he has the mindset, the killer mentality. He just has he has the shit. If you watch him, like that motherfucker could be like a two-way star in this league. And Tyrese is great, but like there were times in the playoffs, I'm like, do you really buy that Tyrese is gonna be the guy that's like, go get us a bucket in the fourth quarter? I don't buy that. He could probably make them plays, but I think, or maybe I can't even say. I don't know. I'm just really
not a closer to me.
Yeah, he's not a closer, but I think Benedict Mathurin could be that guy that he can close the games. He could probably have nights where he's dropping 27 in fucking playoff games, and he's looking like that guy. I think he's good enough to be that. Will they do that? Because the talk right now is around Andrew Nembhard and what he just did, and people are kind of high on him right now. I could see it being a situation where, kind of like Joe Johnson on the Suns, where they just let him go and he went to Atlanta. I could see that same situation with Benedict Mathurin. I'm high on him. He could be that other guy on this team. So hopefully if they listen and he could be in that role and be that guy, I think they take another step. But I'm gonna give them a B because everyone they brought back, they had to bring Siakam back. If they lost him after trading him for a rental, this would have been a lot lower. But I'm gonna give him a B.
Yeah, I gave him a B minus. Definitely good to extend Pascal. Really high on Ben Mathurin as well. I do think he's like that. I think he's a mini Ant Edwards, to be honest. I don't think he's as good as him, and I don't think he will be as good as him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Mathurin has 4 to 5 All-Star games in him in his career.
Just watching his highlights, I'm like, you can't tell me this guy's not going to be at least
he's good.
2-time All-Star.
Him, I feel the same way like him and Shaedon Sharpe in Portland. They're like two of the same player, like just dogs, athletic as fuck, and shoot, and have that like killer mentality that have potential to be great. Will they get there? We'll see. But I do think I agree with you because of that playoff run. Andrew Nembhard will probably be the starting 2. I think so, especially with his playmaking. Ben Mathurin is not that good of a playmaker. He's more of a cutter and shooter. But I do think, if he excels in a 6-man role, not what you were saying with Joe Johnson, Phoenix to Atlanta. I think, honestly, if they do let him walk, he's James Harden 2.0.
Shit.
You let him walk in OKC and he becomes universally a top 5 player in the NBA. I don't think he gets to that point, but I think he gets pretty close to it. So I hope they keep them. If they don't, it's a major loss.
Yeah.
I don't think they did too much to bring anything in, which I don't think they needed.
They did what they had to do.
Yeah. They're gonna grow from within. They're a young team. They still have Miles Turner. Big fan of him. Tyrese Halliburton turns 23, 24?
I think he just turned 24.
Yeah, 24. Like, dude, they're just gonna grow from within, and they have high potential. I know we talk about the top 4 teams, and I know I just mentioned the Heat. Sneaking into the second round. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers make the second round either.
Yeah. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know. Like, it seems like they've had a pretty quiet off season, the Pacers. They really haven't done too much. And honestly, I don't hate every team that beats the Knicks like the Heat. So the Pacers, to me, like, I actually really respect them a lot. Anthony knows I was huge on Ben Mathurin coming out of Arizona. I thought it would have been great if Portland would have, found the way to get him. But honestly, I probably wouldn't be a good fit with him and Shaden. But anyway.
They were in the same draft, I think.
Yeah, they went like right back to back each other.
What do you call? But with the Pacers, like, I like the James Wiseman signing. I know he's not a sexy name, and I completely understand why, but they don't need him to be the number 2 overall pick.
I glossed over that.
They just need him to be, somebody that could be productive for 15, 20 minutes a game when Miles Turner is out, Pascal Siakam is out. But other than that, look, again, it's a little hard because they beat my Knicks, so I want to hate on them, but I can't hate on them. They're a really good team. I respect Rick Carlisle. Not too many coaches I respect like him. The way he's been able to adjust, his coaching style in the last few years, admitting to himself that he needed to do that. The Pacers to me are a team like, and I know we'll probably get to Philly very soon, but how we were like making jokes about Philly, the Knicks and the Pacers, like, this isn't a team I would ever, sleep with. They play hard. Their chemistry is intact. They fit really well together as well. Yeah. Like, I might be more scared of the Pacers in all honesty than I am of the 76ers and other teams, So yeah, I mean, I guess that's my assessment on the Pacers.
Nah, yeah, you said everything right. Hopefully, Jarris Walker plays next year. Because he didn't get to play at all. He was a rookie, but the future for the Pacers is pretty bright. Next team is the Orlando Magic. They extended Franz. He got a lot. He got a lot of bread, but I don't know. It's a sour taste just after watching that Game 7. But I think they had a good offseason. Bringing in KCP, he's another guy who was a defensive player and could space the floor. This team needed a lot of spacing because in that playoff series, no spacing and their offense was very limited. But we did see Paolo is one of those guys. Hopefully, it was really this past season, Franz had a bad shooting year. Hopefully, he could return to his normal self. But I'm going to give them a B+. I like what they did. They still need to address the point guard situation. If they could get that figured out, they're easily an A. But I like the direction this team is going. They have a lot of young players that are very good. They just need to add more spacing because the defense is great, especially for a young team like this. And if Anthony Black can develop and become and get to take more strides, shooting the ball and spacing, that could be a help for them if they don't get that point guard.
Well, I love what you said last episode. Yo, I love that Anthony Simons.
I would love Anthony Simons if they could get him. This is like an A. This is like an A move. But I still see the vision. They're gonna be good. Going into the next year, I'm gonna give them a B plus.
Yeah, I ended up with a B with them. I like the KCP. The only thing is they overpaid. I think they had to, but they had the money to do it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Franz Wagner. I think he was an overpay. That's my humble opinion. But you have to overpay these young guys, to be honest, and just bet on their improvement.
Yeah, and they brought back Mo and Gogo Batase.
Yeah. Mo is important. That's his brother. You know, they want that chemistry. Gogo, he's a good backup center. I don't even know why the Pacers let him go, to be honest. Like, he was what they want James Wiseman to be. But totally agree. I think they need to address the point guard. Whether they do it this offseason, the middle of the season trade, you know, I do really think that Anthony Simon fits in like a glove.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they give up for him. You know, that fits what Portland wants. You know, they do have a lot of guards there already. I don't think they want to take back any guards. But I do want to say one thing. I really do feel bad for Markelle Fultz. I like the kid. It sucks to be a number 1 pick. And I don't know what the fuck happened with his shoulder in that shot. But that guy is a free agent. Nobody's looking at him. He's getting replaced by, you know, Anthony Black, who barely has any experience. You know, Cole Anthony is good off the bench. I like Jalen Suggs, you know, but, like, you're talking about, like, C-level point guards, and the kid can't fucking stay on a team like that. I do feel bad for the kid. Hopefully he can find a new team, but I ended up getting him a B.
Yo, I was a big fan of Markelle Fultz, the Catholic High School in Maryland. I knew almost everything about the guy coming out of Washington. So I feel bad for him, man. I really do.
Yeah.
He was really good, and he didn't deserve what happened to him. Especially, you know, the players I love most are obviously the ones that love to hoop. And he really, really does love to hoop. Like, you know. And, you know, the injuries to his shoulder, all of that didn't discourage him. But for the Magic, I really like, you know, what they did. I mean, obviously the biggest move was signing KCP. And honestly, it was probably better off that they did that than get somebody like Klay Thompson. I don't think Klay Thompson would have been as motivated playing on that team than he would have been on a team like Dallas, for example. You know, I'm a little bit... Well, I'm interested to see with the Magic, which, you know, Anthony knows I love Paolo Banchero. Might be my favorite young player in the league right now with Anthony Edwards. But what I'm interested to see is, again, like this year's growth of Jalen Suggs. I thought he did a very good job. This past year? I thought he was a little bit under the radar. Rightfully so, though. But, you know, it seems like he's finally kind of starting to pick up his stride. You know, he's a combo guard who's, you know, learned how to play point guard in the last year. So I want to see how that goes before I, like, definitively say they need another point guard. Even though I agree with Anthony Simons would fit in like a glove, I feel like other point guards would fit in really good as well. But other than that, like, I don't really think the Magic need to do that much else. And I will say this too, watching them as much as I did this year, I have to say, and I love Paolo, there were times where Franz looked like their best player, Franz. And there were also times where Franz, I'm like, you know, you had the IQ of Karl Towns and Julius Randle in Game 6 at the same time. Like, you know, seriously. I was like it was a little weird. And I honestly, personally, just don't think that him and Paolo are the best fit together.
Yeah.
I just don't, you know, that fit to me together is not the best. But we'll see what happens there. I'm still, you know, very interested to watch them. I'm also interested to see what happens with Wendell Carter. There's been a lot of rumors with him, especially with New Orleans, that they need a center. So, yeah.
Yeah. I actually I just realized now that I skipped over the Sixers.
Yeah, I did see that.
So I'm going to get into it now. I think they had a good offseason. I think they did. Getting Eric Gordon, getting Andre Drummond, that fucking made me upset. Re-signing Kelly Oubre, who I think was he was great for them all of last season, and he played well in the playoffs. Getting Paul George, whatever. But actually, no. Drafting Jared McCain, actually, to me, was one of the best things they did also. Yeah. That guy is going to be solidified pro in this league. He will probably have like a 15-year career. I know he is. I see the memes all the time. I'm a Duke fan. I watched him all season. That motherfucker is not afraid of the moment at all. I've seen him play in big games, and there were times when when it came to like, yo, we need a bucket, he will get us that. And when he rose to the occasion several times, I saw that motherfucker play in Florida State, everybody calling him names, and he was 7 for 8 from 3 and talking to the crowd like, y'all can't guard me. But that motherfucker's a dog. Drafting a Dembona center out of UCLA, I like that pickup. And then obviously getting Paul
Adam Bona.
Yeah, Dembona. Yeah. And then obviously them getting Paul George. Obviously you make that move 10 times out of 10. You want to get your third star next to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably like a A- offseason for them. They did really well. Yeah. Getting your third star and then filling in around the edges. And now I'm going to say my piece. The reason I am sleeping with the AC on it, and I said it last episode, is because I know when you went on your spiel about Joel Embiid, if they are healthy, they can do this. That is the problem. We keep saying if they're healthy. Joel Embiid for 10 years now has proven that motherfucker is never healthy. He's always good to miss a shit ton of games. He was drafted 10 years ago. He came into the draft injured. I remember that picture with Jabari Parker visiting him in the hospital. That motherfucker is injured every year. Same thing with Kawhi Leonard. He's like, there's no more if. Like, there has to be a certain point where we have to just take it out and it has to be factored in. He is one motherfucker that there is no if. He's going to get hurt. Same thing with Paul George. There is no if. He's going to get hurt.
But the question is when. Because they can get hurt, in the first 2 months of the season and be healthy the rest of the way. And it's happened to them before.
That is true. But then with the way this playoff series just went, with how grinded out it was, especially against us with the Knicks, that is going to be a lot to ask. And also, I'm sleeping on them just for the sole fact of I don't think this team is winning a championship at all. You're telling me that for overnight magically, Joel Embiid is just going to have the wiring of I'm going to lock in and we're going to win 16 playoff games. That doesn't mean you're playing 16 playoff games. You might play more because every series is different. It's a 7-game series. They have not shown me that he and Paul George have not shown me that they're going to be able to do that. Not only are they going to be able to hold up, but to actually perform in the playoffs to get it done. I've seen times where closeout games where Joel Embiid gets a turnover, or because Joel Embiid's the motherfucker, like, he can have a great 3.5 quarters, but when it comes down to those last like 4 minutes of the game, he might be a completely different guy. Same thing with Paul George.
Because I've just seen too many games. Honestly, if I wasn't a Knicks fan, I'll be honest, I would probably be a 76ers fan. With the amount of games I've watched, they were never a team I disliked. I used to love them back when they had Drew Holiday and Andre Iguodala and stuff. But me personally, I think, like you said, and I do agree, it does come to a point where it's like I do expect he's not going to play 82 games. I would be shocked if he played it. I'd be shocked if he played over 70 games in the regular season, to be honest with you. Okay, and I think, as he gets older, as the team, has their experience with him. I mean, you mentioned he was injured coming into the draft. He didn't even play his first 2 years.
Yeah, he didn't play his first 2 years.
He didn't play until his third season, and I was there when he got hurt in his third season and tore his ACL against the Portland Trailblazers. I was there, so I more than anybody else, I know, and it's frustrating. I love watching Joel Embiid play. I hated the disrespect he kept getting. Yes, just like other players, he can be annoying, the social media antics. I think people were completely over exaggerating when they were saying, oh, he was crying about not getting MVP. I mean, yeah, he was, but at the end of the day, I mean, outside of Jokic, almost everybody, at some point in time, they care about that. But my point is with the 76ers, I think their offseason was great. I think they arguably had the best offseason, at least in the East. I don't expect this team to win a championship, but simply because of what you said. I just, at some point in time, don't expect them to be healthy. And I think that's the issue. And it sucks to say it, especially for Philadelphia fans, but to me, and I know, me and you will probably disagree forever on this, but like they are, in my opinion, the way they're built, they are a championship team. They should be, and
Yeah, on paper they should be.
Especially with, coaching, they should be. I think with that, from Nick Nurse to Doc Rivers, you make a tremendous upgrade. But outside of that, like, it's just hard for me as a Knicks fan to sit there and say like if they do come in to the playoffs and they have Tyrese Halliburton, Joel Embiid, like that's the part.
Oh, Maxey.
Well, yeah, but that's the part where I disagree as well. Like, I don't think, I think because people think that Joel Embiid is this kind of free throw merchant and whatnot, that he's not locked in, and that, because, and don't get me wrong, yes, I think sometimes, his shit talking is a little bit excessive, but like that motherfucker locks in. Like when he wants to play, when he played against Jokic and he scored over 40 on him, that motherfucker was locked in. Like respectfully, I don't care what anybody says, that dude was locked in. He was focused. I watched almost every dribble of that game. He was focused on making sure everybody knew he was the MVP.
Wasn't that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Because I remember this year, that motherfucker dropped 70 on the Spurs and then purposely sat out to not play Jokic. It's shit like that with Joel Embiid where it's like, yeah, I respect the game. Like,
I'm sorry, but even that, he literally, up until the very last second, he was in Denver. He was shooting around, all of that stuff. And even I said, I'm like, come on, man. But like, I'm not going to sit there and say he was afraid to play Nikola Jokic. Like, it's just one game. And he was coming off an injury. He just happened to, as you said, play against the Spurs and destroy that. Like, if I was the coach too, I'd be a little bit cautious knowing his injury history as well. But I do understand why people call him soft and a pussy and all of that other stuff. And to an extent, I don't disagree. I think he is a little bit of a sore loser. That's my thing with him. If there's one thing I can hate on him for and knock him against is he is a sore loser. Okay. But outside of that, we're just strictly talking basketball. Like, it's health is always going to be his issue.
No, yeah. He on the court, he's great. But the antics is bullshit. And the last fucking 5 minutes of games, he's a different. I saw that motherfucker in Philly get locked up by Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've seen him get locked up by Al Horford and Mitchell Robinson. Like he's very. It's just hard with Joel Embiid. Like he has moments where he literally looks like he's the best player in the NBA. And I've seen too many moments of that, but I've seen too many moments where he comes up short, and I'm like, well, you play like this, you don't deserve a championship.
It's just, bro. I would love. I don't know. I would love to play them again, bro.
I want to play them again.
A lot of people was taking them to beat us, and I will always say it. Like that Game 4 in Philly, that Brunson game to me will go down as like an all-time like legacy game. Like just the stakes of the situation.
Bogey hitting those threes too.
Yeah, that was just a legendary game. Yeah, and we did that shit for Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. But you didn't even give a grade. Yeah, I mean, I gave him a good grade, but yeah.
You guys are both very passionate about Philly. I get it. You guys are Knicks fans. Face him in the playoffs. He's a big Embiid fan. See your opinion on him. I'm more towards Justin's side on, greatness, probably the best NBA player for the first 3 quarters. And then the fourth quarter, I don't know. It's just like he craters. But for me, I give them an A-. Obviously, they got Paul George. I think their biggest win was re-signing and extending Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
I think they overpaid for Paul George. I think they had to keep this guy happy. But I'm with Justin. I sleep with the AC on all the way down. 60 degrees. 60 degrees. It's going to piss off my girlfriend because she didn't like the cold, but I go to sleep very well. I'm not scared about Philly. I hope this doesn't age bad, but I honestly, like, I just don't trust the process at all. I don't. I never did. I never understood the whole losing to hopefully, land big in the lottery. I just think it has been a massive failure. You have Embiid, who talent-wise, you could go head-to-head with any of the top guys in the NBA, and he's right there. He's part of the top best three players. It's interchangeable between all three guys. But for me, it's just like the consistency and most importantly, the mentality. And I'm not going to knock emotion. I could be emotional sometimes. These guys are human beings at the end of the day. But, like, dude, man, just honestly, just man up. You're supposed to be the guy at the team. And I just don't see any scenario where they, go to the finals. I wouldn't be surprised if they finally make that fucking conference final. But, like, him as the guy, I do not buy it at all just because of the history there. I don't think, 10 years in, now you figure it out and you win a championship like that. That's just my opinion. A-. I do agree. I think they're tied with Boston. I gave away my grade for Boston. A- for the best offseason in the East, but I don't think that does shit for them.
I don't even think they're going to the conference finals. We can't even say that comfortably. I think the Pacers could beat them in a playoff series.
That's wild, but
I think so. I think the Pacers could do to them what the Hawks did to them 3 years ago.
Yeah, honestly, look, it's a wild take, but, like, I think Pacers and Heats are big sleepers. I don't know. And when it comes to the playoffs.
Oh, the Heat.
I don't think that's a hot take.
I'm sleeping on the Heat,
in the
bro.
Conference finals.
Sleeping on the Heat.
Keep sleeping. I mean,
I'm sleeping on the Heat, bro.
3 conference finals and 2 finals. 4 years.
A lot of those motherfuckers is gone. Like Strus.
Yeah, but they always find these guys. Like, even who's that guy in Summer League right now who's dropping like 20, 30 points? He was in their G League team last year. He's a point guard. I forgot his name. That guy's gonna be a dog for that team.
For the Heat?
Yes.
Not Jamal Cain, is it?
Is it Jamal? No.
Nah, he went to a different team.
No. I forgot his name. I saw his highlights. Those are the type of players that the Heat pick up. But yeah, that's the Heat. I'm done talking about Philly.
I'll sleep in the jungle comfortably.
Damn, we still got 4 teams left. This is undoubtedly going to be the longest episode ever.
That's okay.
Next team, Cleveland Cavaliers. I think them just getting Donovan Mitchell back is an A.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else they could have done. Like, and I know Donovan Mitchell wants to keep Jared Allen. There were talks about Darius Garland doesn't want to be there if Donovan Mitchell resigned. Yeah, they could. I would like that if they could get him. That'd be a nice, because they need a wing, honestly. Yeah. But I think just bringing him back, that's a W. And also, Darius Garland missed a shit ton of the season with a broken jaw. Some of my friends are like, he's garbage. I'm buying stock that he will have a better season. Maybe he doesn't have that all-star season next to Donovan Mitchell, but I think Darius Garland could be an all-star again. Probably not with the Cavs, but can he be good again with the Cavs? I think he could be. I think just last season was really tough for him, but you get Kenny Atkinson in here. He's going to be a better development coach. Hopefully, Evan Mobley takes a stride offensively. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. They drafted Jalen Tyson out of California, who I really like. I think I'm gonna give them, like, I'll give them a B+. Like, their priority was keeping Donovan Mitchell when a lot of the talk was he's out, he's gone. And now we have to kind of just play the waiting game, see what they do. If they get Brandon Ingram, that is a big plus as well. But I'm going to give them a B+ for this offseason.
I'm going to keep it short. Kind of disagree. I don't think Donovan Mitchell is a good fit for what I think they were building before. I think he expedited that process. Maybe he helped them, try to take that next step to hopefully turn into that championship.
Let me say real quick. You could say that, but I feel like any team for what Cleveland gave up for him, I think any team would do that 10 times out of 10. Because remember, we were the Knicks were the favorite to get him, but Danny Ainge wanted to be stingy because we had the better package. The package that Cleveland gave for Donovan Mitchell wasn't as good. But
it got Larry Markkinen, though, that ended up being...
but nobody thought Larry Markkinen was going to turn into
When does a star take a contract offer from Cleveland and say, oh, yeah, I'm going there? It never happens.
I got it, but for me, like, I saw a bigger ceiling with what they had before. I think there's pretty much going to stay stagnant with Mitchell. That's just my opinion. I don't think they're going to pull through that top 4 seed, honestly. I see those top 4 teams better than them. And I think, they're probably a first round exit team. I don't know if that turns into a situation where Donovan Mitchell wants to be traded elsewhere. If they get Brandon Ingram, that's a big if, but we're not grading on ifs. I don't know. For me, it's just I don't see much from them. I think they're pretty much going to repeat the same thing they did last year. A 5th, 6th seed, just under 50 wins. Even with the growth of Mobley, a little bit of Darius as well, but you're also taking the ball away from him with Mitchell. Like, I think you're preventing a little bit of a growth there from, I think, those 2 key guys. And I'm not saying that they're going to be better than Mitchell. I just thought both of them together were a better combination than what Mitchell is right now. Even with Jared Allen, I know they have great chemistry, but it's like 2 different timelines. I don't see it like working cohesively, like throughout the year. So for me, maybe I'm being biased. I don't.
It's tough
see it much.
Garland was out for a while. Mitchell had the backpack. Then Mitchell got hurt and Mobley got hurt. That's when it was tough. And they still won 50 games. I'm pretty sure. Did they win? They won 50 and 32, right?
48, 49, something like that.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but Donovan Mitchell did a lot for that team. And I think if they could get everybody back healthy, they were 48 and 34.
Shout out to my boy Jane. He was in our fantasy basketball league, but he's a big Cavs fan. What do you call? He knows I like Evan Mobley too. And he's like so frustrated with him. I'm gonna give their all season a B minus. Keep it pretty short. I mean, I like the fact that they obviously re-signed Donovan Mitchell. I do agree with Anthony though. Like, it's just I agree with both of you. I mean, it's just really hard because if you're Dan Gilbert and Kobe Altman, you can't just be like, yeah, we'll just lose, especially after you traded for him. Like, yeah, we're just gonna lose Donovan Mitchell. Like, no matter who you are, even if you are gonna be a mediocre team, the reality is it's still a business, and you do have to fill in butts in the seat. And the one thing I disagree with Anthony on is I don't think they had a higher ceiling prior to what they had now. I like their ceiling more now. I just don't think their ceiling is very high, if that makes any sense. But other than that, they didn't really do too much. I'm just I would say my biggest thing with the Cavs is seeing how Evan Mobley develops. I was a big fan of him. Again, coming out of USC, I think he played, right? Yeah, USC.
Yeah, USC.
Evan Mobley, and I think he got to 35 or 6% 3-point shooting this year, which I remember that was the biggest thing the Cavs wanted him to develop. But I still give them a B minus because there's so much uncertainty around Jared Allen, and I think the fact that he doesn't stretch the floor for them kind of hurts them. But honestly, I feel like that's really the only thing that hurts him. Jared Allen's still a really good center. Isaiah Hartenstein's probably a better fit for OKC, but like, would that have been bad if they got Jared Allen? Like, I think, he's still a really good defensive player. If he plays 30 minutes a game, could probably still average over 2 blocks if he really wants, He's a guy, I know you said before, I forgot which center you were talking about, who you said you'd be cool if the Knicks didn't get, but like, Karl Towns. And I get that, especially because he's too expensive. But like, I would love to have a Jared Allen on the New York Knicks. I think he fits, especially with Tom Thibodeau. Like, he fits perfectly. You know what I mean? Probably would start over Mitchell Robinson, to be honest, too. So, I'm very interested to see what they do there with Jared Allen. Maybe they could, if they can find a way to like make the money match right, they can kind of do like a need for need with the Pelicans, where the Cavs have been craving. That's why Isaac Okoro is still a free agent. They've been craving for that do it all type of small forward, and then the Pelicans can finally get that center that they need, which I think Jared Allen will be a good fit for them. So I give their overall offseason a B-.
Next team is the Milwaukee Bucks. Damn, this offseason is fucking bad, bro. So they signed DeLon Wright. They got Taurean Prince. I like that pickup.
Yeah.
And then they drafted AJ Johnson, which I thought for them was a fucking horrible pick. I had them in the post-draft reaction episode. I had them as a loser in the draft because they're drafting AJ Mitchell, he's a young player, and this is a team that's older and they're trying to win now. So you're basically taking a project on a kid who's a guard. Like, maybe you see something in him, but I think you don't want to waste Giannis's time. He's getting up there. Well, he's not even getting up there. He's about to be 30.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like that pick. They also drafted Tyler Smith out of the G League Ignite. That pick I like more because he's more of like a stretch four. So it's always good to have more space next to Giannis, and you never know if Brook Lopez is going to stay or if they're going to move him. But that pick is one I like more for them. But the way the top of the East got better, bro, I'm going to give the Bucks a D-. Yeah, it's been a bad offseason for them. They also lost Malik Beasley, but that's probably addition by subtraction. I think their best pickup, DeLon Wright is a good pickup for them, but I think my favorite is Taurean Prince. I think that's my favorite pickup for them. He could be in there. But a lot of people have the Bucks in this. I still view the Bucks in like they could be contenders and shit, but a lot of it is more so on Giannis being healthy. But I think these teams that like Giannis is good enough. Me and Jordan talk about it. He's good enough to probably win a series for you by himself. But it's getting harder now with those top 3 teams in the East now, with Boston, with New York, with Philly. It's gonna be harder for you to just backpack. I'm banking. I don't know. I haven't heard it from a ton of people, but the fuck? What the fuck was that? I'm buying.
Sounds like
somebody
saw, right?
Yeah, I was scared as fuck. I'm buying. I'm buying stock in Damian Lillard having a better season next year because there were 100%. reports last summer that him knowing that he was gonna get traded, he didn't really work out as much because he wasn't trying to get hurt. I think now that he's in Milwaukee, they traded for him. He's gonna be there. I think he has a year under his belt already. He takes a look at last season. I don't think he's satisfied with that.
A lot was happening. Yeah, too. Like, he was going through a
lot of stuff off the court.
He obviously felt like a little out of scene in Milwaukee and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it's an adjustment.
I get it. Yeah.
So I'm buying he has a better season next year, even though he wasn't even bad last year. It was just kind of just inconsistent at times, up and downs. But I'm buying stock that he's gonna have a better season, and hopefully if Giannis is healthy and Dame has a better season, this could easily be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, and they could make noise in the playoffs as well. It's just my main concern with them is obviously the perimeter defense. Dame isn't a stopper. DeLon Wright does help with that. Torian Prince will help, so those are good moves. Brook Lopez is getting older. We don't know if he's still going to be there because he's kind of like their anchor, and Giannis is kind of like playing help side because Giannis is one of the best defensive players in the league. And then another crutch for them is Doc Rivers being their head coach. Come playoff time, as long as he's your coach, he's like, in terms of coaching battle, I'm really sleeping with the AC on. Like, but yeah, their offseason so far hasn't been that good. Because DeLon Wright, yeah, he probably does play. He helps you defensively, but is he going to be able to space the floor for you consistently to help you out in that regard as well? Because you need the spacing with Giannis as well. But yeah, I just don't really like that much. It's really the 2 free agent signings because the other 2 were just rookies. One of them you're banking on in the future, and how much time do you really have? And 2, Tyler Smith, we'll see if he even gets the rotation because Doc Rivers doesn't like playing young guys. He has Andre Jackson on the team who could really help the Bucks, and he refuses to play him. So we'll see if they even play him. But yeah, I'm gonna give the Bucks a D-.
D-. Wow.
Damn.
D-.
Well, I'll keep it a buck with you. I'm gonna give them just to see. I think it's stagnant. I don't like Doc Rivers at all. I didn't like the hire. I don't have much confidence in him. I didn't like the draft pick they had. I think it's AJ Johnson, right?
What did I say?
AJ Mitchell?
It was like AJ Johnson. Andre Jackson.
No. They drafted AJ.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they have a guy on the team. Andre
Jackson. Yeah, that was like last year.
That was last year.
Yeah. I don't like him. Ryan Dunn would have been the perfect guy next to Lillard, like just to help out. With that being said, what were we talking about before? Usually the formula for a championship team is 2 superstars and a shit ton of role player around them, right? This is a proven team at the end of the day. Fuck Doc Rivers, put him on the side. They won a championship without Lillard. Yeah, you had Drew Holiday, one of the best role-playing star point guards, I would say, in NBA history. The guy does it all. He's unselfish. He can be a star, and he can be a role player. That was perfect for the this Bucks team. But at times, you saw Giannis needed help. And Chris Middleton, sometimes wasn't there. Damian Lillard is there. Damian Lillard is that guy. Maybe I might be biased because he's my current favorite player in the NBA. And it's been like that since he came into the league. But he's carried Portland with shitty-ass team to the playoffs. He's only missed the playoff once before, they traded CJ away and they started going to the rebuild side. But he is that guy with Giannis. It's just about, is he there 100%? He went through a lot last year. I follow him. He's one of my favorite players. And yeah, he was going through a divorce. Yeah, he did live in Portland for fucking 12 years. And that was his home. Going to totally different side in fucking September when training camp started in a week. Yeah, that's pretty last minute. And you're all by yourself. Yeah, he didn't come 100% in shape because he was worried about, the physicals. So, it wouldn't fail like a trade. It wouldn't prevent a trade. So he didn't come in the best shape. He wasn't there 100% mentally. He had a couple of nagging injuries and he didn't have a lot of help on the defensive end. Agree, Malik Beasley is addition by subtraction. I actually was not a big fan of him at all. Actually, I'm not a big fan of him in that team or any of the teams he's been on. He's a ball chucker. Yeah, he's a good three-point shooter, but he's a black hole in defense. And it's not like he's a sharpshooter like that you have to keep him on the court. I think this is the first time he shot like 40% or something.
It's kind of a low IQ player.
Exactly. But it sucks because that was like the one player that Lillard I saw was vibing with. And now you take that away. You have a guy in DeLon Wright that can kind of be that, but with better defense. He's a decent shooter. He can actually play make as well. I think him and Lillard are friends in real life as well. Torian Prince was a great pickup.
That was a great pickup.
He's a do-it-all wing role player that they needed. I think they needed a little bit more defense.
One of the most underrated role players in the league.
He is. I like Chris Middleton still. I know he's older. I know he's not as good as what he used to be, and the injuries have been, a lot on, his body, and, just this past season, it sucked. He had to take, that step back and be a third star when he was really the second guy next to Giannis. So that was an adjustment. I really do think this offseason for them more is just more about learning about each other, because they still could potentially win a championship. Any of those top 4 teams in the East, I see them as potential championship winners. Just the fact that I haven't even talked about Giannis. Shout out to my girlfriend, that's her favorite player. But him still being on the team, and he's, in my opinion, the best player in the East. I think he's actually the best player in the whole NBA, even without a fucking jump shot. That motherfucker could drop fucking 30 points in his sleep and literally throw up 10 shots. Like, he's just like that. And he makes the players around him better. And he won Defensive Player of the Year. He could do it all, almost. The shooting is, on and off. But he's that good in a shooting NBA that you can consider him the best player. At least people put him in that conversation. I give him a C. I think they still have potential to win a championship. They stayed stagnant. But, just with time and chemistry, they do have potential.
Yeah, their offseason to me is a little tricky. I mean, I'll be honest. If it wasn't for the draft, I'd give them a much higher grade. But I just feel like, and I was going back and forth. I wanted to take back because I thought they had easily the worst draft out of anybody. And, I was talking to him about it, and I wanted to take it back only because I said, they might need a little bit of youth on that team. But the more I think about it, I can't take it back. I told Anthony this too with like Ryan Dunn. I thought, this is a guy, in college, 6'8", 110 total blocks. Okay, more than a lot of centers in college. All right, and 57 total steals. I mean, he's not a good 3-point shooter. I get it. 23% 3-point shooter, fine. The Milwaukee Bucks, I'm sorry, but just look at their whole starting lineup. They don't need more 3-point shooting. I think Ryan Dunn would have easily been a rookie that game 1 of 82, he would have already been in the rotation. I know it's contradictory to, Doc Rivers' mentality of playing young players, but I think he would have had no choice, because if there's one thing Doc Rivers knows that we all love, he knows, and that's why he won in 08, is because of defense.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not as low as Doc Rivers and others look. And I can't lie, that was, been watching basketball for a long time. That was one of the, things I had to swallow my pride on and realize, okay, he's definitely not as good a coach as what I once thought he was. But I also think don't get me wrong, playoffs and the adjustments, I mean, it's extremely predictable. I thought he was a lot better in Philly than he was previously with the Clippers, especially. But even with Philly, there were still, I think, in my personal opinion, it was more the players. Like, I just thought James Harden, especially with Daryl Morey, like, he literally just gave up Game 7 and said, fuck this, and so did Joel Embiid. Like, I can't blame that on Doc Rivers, because they almost beat the Celtics, and they should have beaten the Celtics. When it comes to this Bucks team, even though they didn't have the best offseason in the world, I still think, and yes, I am going to be biased, of course, outside of my Knicks, I think the Bucks probably have the best chance of beating the Celtics. I said before, I think Joel Embiid, you can make the argument, is the best player in the East. I will never argue with anybody that says Giannis. Honestly, at this point in time, I gotta be honest, I don't know if there's an NBA player I respect more than Giannis Antetokounmpo. The thing that fans respect the most is effort, and that guy does not cheat the game in any freaking game. That guy regardless, even if you hate him, and I know people that are big Giannis haters, and that's fine. But even if you hate him, you cannot sit there and act. That dude plays with heart, and I love it. And say whatever you want, that, nepotism with his brother and stuff. I love it. And honestly, they play the Celtics again. I know my boy Eric would 100% disagree, but Giannis is clearly the best player in that series. And Damian Lillard, I think his biggest thing is, especially now, he never was a good defender. He never will be. Okay, but I think if they are able to, the Bucks have always played big, and if they're able to, follow that lineup and put Middleton at the 2, Torian at the 3, hopefully that can, ease up a lot of the defensive woes for them. Their all season to me, I feel like, they were good because a lot of teams, especially when you get out, let's just be honest, when you have the expectations that they have and you get out in the first round, I hated, and Anthony knows this, I hated last year when they got out in the first round and the first thing they did was, well, we have to do something. Let's just fire Mike Budenholzer.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Which was
that was crazy, mistake. Bro.
That made absolutely no sense. I think if he was still on that team, oh my God, I think honestly I'd be talking about them much differently. How we said,
hell yeah.
how we said we were sleeping with Philly. I would be a little bit scared of Milwaukee, to tell you the truth, because I love my Knicks. But I'm sorry, Giannis is clearly the best player in that series. Like, I don't think there's any debate about that. But the way that the Bucks play, like, they're easily a team to me that, depending on who they play, they could get out in the first round. Like, they can get unlucky against a team like the Cavs with Evan Mobley, who'll be a good defender on Giannis. Like, they can get unlucky, but they could also, if they're hot during the playoffs, look out, because that's a team that could definitely catch fire. They already won before. They have a lot of the outside of PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday. They have a lot of the same core guys that were there. Bobby Portis to this day remains one of the most, I don't want to say underrated anymore, but still is probably one of the best players coming off the bench in the whole league. So their offseason wasn't that good, but I still have high hopes for them. Ironically, even though it's kind of contradicting a little bit what I said, my biggest worry for them is Doc Rivers. Yeah. And not Justin in the playoffs.
I don't know why the fuck they hired him and why he's still there.
Yeah, and obviously just like any other team, injuries, because Giannis the last 2 years has been injured. So,
next team, New York Knicks. I don't even have to say much, man. This was an A. This is probably outside of answering that center position that since we lost Hartenstein, which is a very big loss.
And I think that's why it's not an A+.
Yeah, it's not an A+. I'm gonna give it an A, but this has been the dream offseason for me.
Yeah.
Getting Mikal Bridges, he was the number one guy I wanted after all the rumors of Paul George, fucking Brandon Ingram, Zach LaVine, hearing all those rumors, Kyle Kuzma. I'm like, bro, I'm good. I just want Mikal Bridges. We got him. Drafting Pacome Daddy. I don't know anything about him. Hopefully he's good. Drafting Tyler Kolek, who I fucking love. The second I watched him in March Madness, I was like, fell in love with the game. And now that
so much of TJ McConnell.
I was just gonna say that, man. I was just gonna say
now that we have him, bro, I'm so happy. He's
the dog.
He's probably gonna be the Nick. He's probably gonna be the Nick I defend to the death. Since RJ.
That's what they wanted Ron Baker to be.
Yeah, and Kevin McCullough.
Yeah.
Kevin McCullough is a good draft pickup as well. Ariel Huckporty, hopefully he does great. But man, the league should be scared, bro. The shit we were able to do, also re-signing OG was a big W. The shit we were able to do this season, missing OG from January 29th on, missing Julius Randle from January 27th on, Brunson playing out of his fucking mind, being a 50-win team. We're the second seed. I came on here and said it. I was like, yo, if OG never got hurt and Randall never got hurt, I think we could have won 60 games. It's crazy to say, but that's what I think. In January, we only lost 2 games. If those motherfuckers were healthy, bro, we were beating the Nuggets. We beat the Timberwolves. We were beating everybody. If those 2 motherfuckers were healthy, we would probably be a 55 plus win team.
What's that record again with OG?
With OG, we were, I think 16-2 or 18. Okay. We only lost 2 games.
Yeah, I know we only lost 2.
I think it was 18-2, some shit like that.
Yeah.
But now you add Mikal Bridges onto that, and I think personally, Julius Randle is going to have a redemption season. He hears the talk on his name. A lot of people have been saying the team is better without him just because he wasn't there for the playoff run. I disagree. We could have used him in the playoffs. People forget this guy's a 25-10 guy. He might have to sacrifice a little bit for the sake of the team, but I think he hears the chatter around his name, and I think he's gonna know that if this team is underperforming and he's back, he might be out the door, and I wouldn't want that because this shit started with him. I think he's gonna ball out this year. He's gonna do his thing. Jalen Brunson, obviously, we said it at the beginning of this episode. He took the pay cut. That motherfucker deserves a fucking statue. Josh Hart, the best fucking role player in the NBA. That motherfucker, outside of Giannis and LeBron, nobody's stopping him in the open court. Dante DiVincenzo, that motherfucker's he's a lunatic, but I love it because it matches our team. Fucking Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa. I love this team so much. If everyone's healthy, and I know I'm gonna say, because I was saying that Joel Embiid's always hurt, Paul George is always hurt. I'm already expecting OG Anunoby to miss games, but even with that, we have Mikal Bridges now. I think we could be a 55 plus win team honestly next year. It's gonna be scary. Tibbs is probably licking his chops right now. Like, fuck, man, this is the best team I have. Yeah. And please, if we could get Walker Kessler, get it done. But this is a off season for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it nice and sweet for the Knicks fans and let you guys talk more. But I just gave it an A-. Very important to re-sign OG. I know you're a big Mikal fan. I think that was probably the best pickup they could have made. My only thing was I think it was an overpay for him. You know, he's basically an all-star role player. You know, like, they experimented with him being like a number 1 option, and he showed, like, you know, he could do, you know, the job, but is he a number 1 option? No. But they paid for him to be that, you know, and that's, like, my only thing. But the Knicks had a shit ton of picks.
We had to do it.
Yeah, and you guys had a whole bunch of picks. Brooklyn was being stingy. So that was, you know, that and losing Hartstein is why I knocked it, but this was an ideal offseason. You guys just need a center, and honestly, if you guys get a center, I hate to say this, you guys might be the best team in the East, better than Boston. If you get an actual center, not Walker Kessler. You know, I like Walker Kessler too. Or resign, like, I think he's still a free agent, but if you guys got like a center, like someone to do it all, like if you had like a Miles Turner, or if you had who are we talking about swapping Mitchell Robinson for?
You said Karl Towns.
I said Jared Allen.
Jared Allen, Karl Towns, honestly, man, if you had someone down there on the block, man, you know, just to have that option, because I don't trust Mitchell, you know, being healthy like that. I think you guys are the best team.
That's another motherfucker.
Yeah, I think the Knicks go to the finals. What do they win? I think OKC is better, but there's potential, man. New York might be celebrating.
I think Walker Kessler could be that guy.
Yeah.
Because we don't need a center that's going to score.
Mitchell Robinson 2.0.
He don't get hurt as much as him, though.
He was hurt this past season.
He was, but the season before he played 74 games.
If we enter the season with this lineup or with this exact roster, I would not be surprised. I don't want this to happen, knock on wood, but I would not be surprised if Tom Thibodeau threw a small lineup out there with like Jalen Brunson, Dante, OG, Mikal, and then put Randle at the 5 and Mitch come off the bench since, you know, I mean, I love Mitch, but you can't play him 30 minutes a game for 82 games. You just can't do it. He's gonna hurt his foot. So like that's what I think. But I think the Knicks, like that's I don't even want to say that scares me. I just don't like Julius Randle guarding centers, especially like look. I love Julius Randle. Okay, more than most Knicks fans, but he's 6'9". What's gonna happen when you go up against somebody 7 inches taller than you, like Wemby? Like you can do whatever you want. You can push him all you want. He's just gonna shoot over you. So I hope that we fill in that center. If we had a backup center right now, and it's not even me being biased as a Knicks fan, our offseason would be an A+. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But, right now with this Knicks team, this is easily, since I've been a Knicks fan, I feel so bad for Carmelo Anthony. I know this is the team that he'd want to be a part of. This is obviously the best team that we've had, since I've been watching the Knicks. I'm very excited for them. And honestly, with the Mikal Bridges trade, man, similar to what I said with, the Rudy Gobert trade in Minnesota. I mean, let's be honest here. Does it really matter that much if we're in the playoffs from now until the next 4 or 5 years, however long we have Mikal Bridges and, we're fighting, we're in the second round, conference finals, maybe even finals every year. Like, can you really say, oh, those picks, like, oh, we fleeced you guys. One of my friends, Hassan, is a big Nets fan, and, oh, we fleeced you guys. Oh, we fleeced y'all. We fleeced y'all. I'm like, dude, you guys still have Ben Simmons on the team. I'm talking about you guys fleeced us. Like, nobody is worried about the Nets. You guys are in full Cooper flag mode, okay? So, the point is, though, with the Knicks, man, honestly, like, I'm really excited for them. My only concern, again, is the fact that, like, if Mitch goes down, I just don't know what we're going to do from there. If we don't sign another center.
And he's going to go down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry. Okay, again, these little... And again, I like Jericho Sims with these little bullshit videos. It's literally Ben Simmons in the offseason taking threes, and then the season comes like Tom Thibodeau's not going to let Jericho Sims take a step back three-pointer with those slow-ass feet. Like, he's just not going to do that. Okay? And then, I need to see Ariel Hookporty. I think that's how you say it, out of Germany. All right? In the Summer League and whatnot. But, I mean, I just said the word Summer League. Can you trust a player like that? And the player, like, it's one thing.
Yeah, don't fall for the Kevin Knox shit.
It's one thing, like, just going in the playoffs and whatnot. Like, we're going to have to, if we want to win the championship, we're going to have to run in to the former, defending champions who are the team, they're the last team remaining. So we'll get into it after this. I hate the Celtics. Everybody knows that with the burning passion. Well, one of my best friends, Eric, we both, kind of grew up with him. He loves the Celtics. I've always hated them, of course, but I always give them the respect where it's due. It's hard for me, as much as I love my Knicks, to not say that the Celtics still aren't the best team in the East. Like, until we prove that they aren't, I'm going to say that they are. But the Knicks, I feel like, like if Celtic fans felt so comfortable last year just breezing through the, playoffs and getting to the finals this year, I'm happy for you. Because I don't think you're going to do that this year, especially if most of these teams stay healthy. The Knicks are going to be such a tough matchup for them. What they did this offseason, like, I think everybody, and I know you know Alan Hahn, right? Like, I think, Alan Hahn tweeted about this the other day, like, and it kind of, like, annoyed me a little bit. He was like, yep, that's it. That's it. No Donovan Mitchell, no superstar. This is the team that the Knicks are rolling with. And it's like, I know people don't want to admit it. We already have our 2 stars. Jalen Brunson is a star, and Julius Randle has been proving that he is a star. And I've always said, and I know he'll still have his moments. Trust me.
You just got to do it in the playoffs.
Yes. But, the first thing I kept telling Anthony over here and my best friend in the world, Tyler, we need a freaking point guard. Julius Randle is not a point guard. He's playing point forward. Why is he taking up the ball against Atlanta in the first round? Okay, he should not be taking up the ball. And that was my issue. I think that's part of the reason why Derrick Rose, for crying out loud, at like 65 years old. That'd be our best player on a playoff team. Seriously.
Remember
But
that.
point is, because I could talk all day about my Knicks. Everybody knows that. I love what we did in this offseason. I think it's an A. But at the end of the day, we have to go out there and prove that we are the best team in the East, the best team in the league, and, show why this offseason, at the very least, was worth it. Because I remember being here the last time and the first time. What was the biggest thing we talked about? The Knicks had just made, it was fresh off the trade. And the first thing I said, because I agree with Anthony, yes, we did, kind of overpay a little bit for OG. But what did I say during that day? Oh, you said for Mikal? Yeah. I don't think we overpaid for Mikal. I think we might have overpaid a little bit for OG. I mean, he's going to be making more than Jalen Brunson, for crying out loud, the next 5 years. But with OG in particular, what I was saying, if you remember, was RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. Again, and look, once a Knick, always a Knick. I always have respect for them. I always miss them. My concern was, okay, not that, if Brajan watches this, not that, OG, not that I think he sucks or that I didn't like him. It was the fact that I was worried that we were going to have to overpay or re-sign him, because the last thing you want is to trade for OG Anunoby, is to trade Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, who we homegrown drafted, and that's been an issue with the Knicks for so many years. And to take those players and trade them for OG just for him to not re-sign would have been devastating for New York. So I think that was the most important thing, was re-signing him, even if we overpaid.
Yeah, I agree too. I think we overpaid more for OG than Mikal. For Mikal, we kind of, to the outsiders, they're going to say, like, non-Knicks fans, they're going to be like, you guys overpaid. To us, we did what we had to do. I don't look at it as an overpay, because we got a guy he's going to fit right in. And watch, by the time the season starts, he's going to fit like a glove, and people are going to be like, oh, shit.
All we lost for him was uncertainty.
Yeah.
We don't know what those picks could have been. And I know that goes both ways, but still.
To the Nets fans that say they fleeced, yes, you got 6 first-round picks, but you also have to make the right picks.
Yeah.
That also goes into it. So just because you came out with the 6 picks, you also have to go and make the right picks, because you could very well miss on every single one of these picks, and we'll be laughing at you in 2031, whatever. Yeah. And I'm going to be like, haha, motherfucker.
Yeah, who's the right pick?
Even if we don't win the chip and they don't hit on any of those picks, I'll be laughing at those motherfuckers.
Who's the right pick? Mikal Bridges. That's the right pick.
The last team is the Boston Celtics. Don't even have to say much. They re-signed Drew Holiday right before the playoffs, I believe. They re-signed Derek White right after the playoffs. They gave Jason Tatum his big-ass contract. Yeah. Well-deserved. Al Horford's coming back. They drafted Baylor Shireman out of Creighton, which I think was a great pickup for them. Luke Cornett came back. I think they brought Xavier Tillman back as well. Basically got the whole team back. A different conversation will be had in a few years when they're like, oh, this team probably can't be together because of the second apron. But as of right now, you kept your championship core together. That's an A for me. If you could keep your entire championship team together, that's an A.
It's just annoying. Because,
Nuggets couldn't do that.
Because Porzingis and Cornette get their rings in Boston, not New York.
I don't give a fuck. I think, if you're able to keep your entire core, like, that's a W.
Yeah.
I had them as A-. I gave all the top teams in the East A-. The only reason why was, I don't think they really needed Porzingis, to be honest, to win this championship. I think they do need...
They barely played.
They need a healthy big. And Al Horford is that, but he's also up in age. I also think they did overpay a little bit for Derek White. I understand why they did it. They're just rewarding the championship guys. So I'll keep it at A-, but exactly what you said. They're keeping that team that won a championship, flew by the regular season, flew by the playoffs. They kept them together. The expectation is to win another championship. So,
What I will say is, though, they probably didn't need Porzingis this playoff run, but they're going to need him next year with how much better the East has gotten. Because in a Knicks series without Porzingis, that's a big loss. And we saw in that finals, that motherfucker was a cheat code for them. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks.
The first game. 2 games, though, right?
Yeah, but then, in 12 minutes, he dropped like 20.
That was game one.
It was going off that.
I think he only played 3 games total.
I think it was the game he came over where he was going off.
Nah. He didn't even play that game.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I had my friend Eric over.
Yeah, that game, when I came over, that's when Dallas just beat the fuck out of Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Boston, that's an A.
I'm going to go, honestly, they're probably going to be my highest grade along with the Knicks, Mavericks, and a couple other teams I mentioned. I mean, I don't see why I can't give them an A+. I mean, they really didn't lose much of anything, to be honest. They kept everybody in their core that they won a championship with, and then they added an exclamation point to that, making Jason Tatum, temporarily with this new cap, the highest paid player of all time. I think also the fact that, and I know this wasn't this offseason, but I think it was like back in April or March when they re-signed Drew Holiday, which I thought was extremely important for them if they want to repeat, because I think what you mentioned before, how this team won't stay intact because of the apron. I think they were talking about that inside the NBA on TNT with the boys and the crew, which if any major corporation ever watches this, you need to find a way to keep those guys on TV because they're the best between all of them. But anyway, they were talking about Porzingis and the Celtics, and the fact that they don't really need who was it? It was Charles Barkley talking about I can't think about it right now. But the point is, what I'll say is, they obviously didn't lose anybody for the most part. All they did was gain. Re-signing the guys that they re-signed, like I said, I mean, what I was saying was, if they do end up reaching the apron and having to take, they're probably not going to go back to back, and that's what Shaq and Charles Barkley were saying. With this new era now, since KD left the Warriors, it's very hard for teams to go back to back. I think the Celtics will have the best chance to do that with the guys that they've brought back and re-signed. So it's hard for me to give them really anything lower than an A+. Also, with Porzingis getting injured, signing Xavier Tillman as another big guy, to help fulfill, they're basically saying, okay, what did we do last year? We'll bring everybody else back, and we'll get even more insurance in case guys get hurt. Peyton Pritchard, I think, is one of the most underrated players coming off the bench. Me and my boy Eric would go back and forth all the time, but I think he finally showed why he's worth it. I'm glad that they didn't keep Aaron Naismith from the Pacers now, because, oh man, it would have been even worse. But yeah, they're an A+, and they're the only team that, if the Knicks play, I'm probably going to be pretty worried about. I can't lie. But other than that, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So that was it for grading all the offseason moves for the playoff teams. This was Jaylen Brown should be on the USA team, by the way. But yeah,
a whole bunch of players over Derek White, but that's another topic.
But I want to thank you guys for coming.
Absolutely.
You guys were filling in for Jordan, who's in Atlanta right now. Hope he's doing good. Shout out to him. But if you guys got any shout outs that you would like to give out.
Just a quick one to my girl. I'm coming home, baby. Sorry, had to talk some basketball.
Yeah, it's the longest episode.
No, I don't really have any shout outs. Just anybody that, I know that ends up watching this. So, and always shout out to Justin. So for having us.
I appreciate you guys for pulling up. I appreciate everyone in Colonia that watches this video. Please hit subscribe. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Edgewater too. But that's gonna do it for this episode. If you guys are listening on audio, please give us 5 stars. Please like. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Please like. Follow us on TikTok at the J&J Podcast. If you want to be a believer of the J&J, go attack these motherfuckers in the comments right now because they are talking crazy. But we appreciate you guys. Peace out. Thank you.